Pacers Knicks could be really good.
Pacers are a problem.
I mean, they play five guys. I mean, they're like OKC in that regard. They're a five-man team, if you will. I couldn't help it. I was a Tigers fan last night. That's where the volume was all night long.
I was impressed. Felt badly for you right after you texted me that. They gave up the 2-run homer to tie it.
It was a really entertaining game.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, 2-1, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. I mean, back
6-4,
and forth.
6-6. Right.
I mean, there was like 5 walk-offs last night.
Mm-hmm.
What a night in baseball that nobody gave a damn about, except for in those markets.
Good morning, Tim. Man, what's the stat about the Reds? In 43 games, they've scored 1 run or less 12 times. Morning, everybody. Yeah, I know, Ambient, when he plays that well and he and Murray combine for 72 and you lose, that's a problem.
Would help if someone else could make a shot in the fourth quarter. He went 4 of 6 in that stretch late. The team went 1 of 12. Enjoy San Antonio, Ryan. It's been years and years and years since I've been to that city, but I like that city. I liked that city. National Buttermilk Biscuit Day.
Uh-oh.
I had biscuits and gravy on Sunday for breakfast. It was lovely. I've actually stayed. I don't. There's 2 Marriotts across the street, and I stayed at one. Ryan, I know right where you are. All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you as we get over the hump on this second Wednesday of May. What an amazing sports day and night yesterday. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. I don't know if anyone paid attention. It's as good a regular season night of baseball as Miller and Moulton can ever remember.
Ever. I am so happy you didn't start with the whole how you doing, because nobody cares how we're doing today. There's too much to get to. What a day and night in the sports world. Some things happened that, well, we would have never thought would have happened a few years ago, off the field, on the field. 2 huge comebacks in the NBA. Dallas takes a stranglehold on Winnipeg. And as David mentioned, I think somebody else just hit a walk-off hit in baseball. Holy cow.
Unbelievable. Then you've got the off-the-field news involving Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and anyone on the ineligible list who is now eligible for consideration for the Baseball Hall of Fame, albeit not right away. Not right away at all. Apparently, Mark, the next vote's in 2.5 years.
Well, I will say it is incredibly interesting to be doing what we're doing right now because we do pay attention to a lot of off the field, court, ice stuff, not just the games on the field. And this president is a sports fan. Whatever you may think, I don't care what your politics are. He's a sports fan. And he's now tried to get a college football committee together.
Right, about college sports, right.
He pressured Rob Manfred into reinstating Pete Rose. He did. Now, need to fix this Live PGA thing, and he'll have a trifecta, David.
Yeah, and apparently they're ignoring him. Apparently the PGA Tour is ignoring him when it concerns that. They've met with him. They've took him under advisement. Hell, Tiger may marry into the damn family, so to speak. Man, it's not going to matter. PGA Tour is kind of like, no, we're good. We're good. Now we'll see.
But he is used, and David, you're far more of a historian than I will ever be because I did Today Was the Day When last night. I've probably already forgotten half the things that are on it. But I don't recall a president in my lifetime being this involved in sports.
Well,
using his office to try to make change in sports. It's something that is very unusual to me.
And certainly within the first 100 days of his term, albeit his second term, but still within the first 100 days of his term. There's no doubt. I mean, he's very opinionated, okay? And he's also wielding a lot of power. And there are people who are intimidated by him. And if he says, hey, I want you to do something, they go, yes, sir, Mr. President, absolutely. Or at the very least, we'll take it under advisement, sir. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. So he wanted Pete Rose reinstated. And remember, the Rose family asked the commissioner after his passing first if, in fact, he could be reinstated. And then the president chimed in first while on the campaign trail and then after he took office. And Rob Manfred has decided that once you die, that you served your punishment. And now you can be reinstated. And if you're so worthy of going into the Hall of Fame, well, then they'll take your candidacy up for consideration. The problem is the writers will never vote on Shoeless Joe Jackson, on Pete Rose. All right. That time has come and gone. It's the classic baseball era committee that only meets once every 3 years. And conveniently, they just met this past December and voted. So now they won't meet again till December of 2027. And that's the earliest that Shoeless Joe, Pete Rose, and there's 15 others, by the way, that were also had their bans lifted and their careers are now eligible to be discussed as to whether or not they are Hall of Famers.
David, I got a text from you in our little group chat that we have that let me know about this about the same time I was getting notifications from every sports service app that I have. And then about, I don't know, an hour later, I have a friend who now lives in South Carolina. He is the biggest baseball fan, or one of the two biggest baseball fans that I know. He happens to be from the greater Cincinnati area.
Oh, okay.
And I would say, and I don't know how old he is, but I would say he's at least 10 years younger than I am. Probably more like 15 younger, so somewhere between 40 and 45, I would guess. And if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But he sent me this text, and I'm curious because you talk to a lot of people and they text you blindly when something like this happens. If I'm the Rose family, I bluntly tell MLB to blank off and not attend any ceremonies. Understand what he did is wrong, but it's just a slap in the face to do it after he died. I would rather they just keep the ban.
Well, that's how I felt until we learned that the Rose family asked Rob Manfred to do this. I remember, was it Skip Carey?
Yes.
Who was doing the Braves games, and Harry's Hall of Fame candidacy was being bandied about on the broadcast. And he matter-of-factly said, if you're going to do it while he's alive, or else we ain't interested. And that's how I feel. And I understand that the family, can benefit and what have you, and it may make the family feel good. But, my feeling is if you're going to honor somebody, honor them while they're alive. Okay, get around to it. Figure it out. But when Pete's son called up the commissioner and said, hey, this would mean a lot to our family. He served his time. Can you reinstate him now? And Manfred said, oh, okay, I'll take it under advisement. So I agree with him personally, but the Rose family wanted this day to come after Pete passed in, what was it, September, October of last year?
Right.
Yeah. I just remember it was a Monday night. We were doing Monday Night Football in Detroit. Remember walking over to Joe Buck going, Pete Rose just died. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. All the baseball that Joe did, obviously, and his longtime assistant, Steve, who also helped Bob Costas for the first 15 years of his network career. So all the baseball Steve has done. So I said, yeah, I thought you two might be interested in this.
And David, it has done one thing for this show that this show struggles with more than anything else.
What's that?
It allowed us to go back to the well one more time.
A final time?
A final time. We have a poll question up to start the show.
So instead of that slow Tuesday or Wednesday in July, every year or every other year when we need to just come up with a topic to kill a show, and we go, we haven't done Pete Rose in a couple of years. What do you say we do Pete today? Okay. Instead, boom. So how do you
phrased it a little differently. With Rob Manfred lifting the ban on Pete Rose's eligibility to the Hall of Fame, do you think Pete will get in the Hall of Fame? Not do you think he should be Hall of Famer, but do you think that the committee for the veteran players, what's the name of that committee again? That's a hell of a name.
The Classic Baseball Era Committee.
The Classic Baseball Era Committee. There we go.
Yes. It is the committee that considers people whose, quote, biggest impact to baseball was prior to 1980. So who's the majority of their career and accomplishments were pre-1980. And Pete obviously applies because I believe his rookie year was 63. Although Phillies fans are going, hey, 1980, he was pretty good to us.
That's
pretty
true.
good to us.
That's very true.
But
I will tell you, for a matter of fact, I answered no. I do not think he will get in. I don't think that committee, which has a lot of ex-players on it typically, will ever allow Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame.
Ever?
Ever.
Wow. I think it's going to be a long time. Like, it could be 20 more years. I think we're going to have to go through a whole generation of voters. And I'll be curious who's left to vote on the Classic Baseball Era Committee, so to speak, who's familiar, like saw them play and all. But here's why I think it's going to be no for a long time. I guess that committee, well, not that committee, but a different committee just voted on Bonds and Clemens. And it's 16 members of the committee. You need 12 votes. Bonds and Clemens did not receive more than 4 votes in committee when they received 60 to 65% of votes from the writers. But in committee, they were lucky to get 20 to 25% of the vote. They got 60 plus from the writers over 10 years. So, Mark, that's alluding to how hard this committee is. It's a harder room than if they were on the ballot and being considered by the writers. So that's our poll question, Miller and Moulton.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, David,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you could pull this off. Do you think with an ESPN connection, you could get your hands on Georgia, Florida tickets?
2 or 4?
2.
Does it matter where the seats are?
Nope.
Yeah.
My mom has a timeshare thing, and there are places all over the country, but there's one at the World of Golf. And I hit her up and I said, hey, what if I take this for Halloween weekend? She goes, go, book it. So I booked a room, and Jake's going to drive down. I'm going to drive up.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's never been to one before.
Tim, I'd argue Friday night and Saturday morning is the best part of Florida Georgia weekend, honestly. Now, I would love to do the Red River Shootout and compare it. The other thing that's hurt the Florida Georgia game is, quite frankly, in the last 20 years, they've only been about 5 really good ones. No, Friday night's an unbelievable party. I mean, in Jacksonville. It is. But I don't know. The game, for as great as the era of SEC football was that we got a chance to broadcast, the Florida Georgia game was not a good game most of those years. The Florida Georgia, they kind of blew up the landings, changed it. It's not the way it used to be at all. Yeah, 2013 Knicks. Remember, you had the crazy Auburn Georgia ending.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Jam-packed show. We'll try to talk some baseball and bring up, obviously, Rob Manfred's ruling yesterday, which reinstates Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and 15 others who were on the permanent ineligible list. And now they're all eligible for, consideration for the Baseball Hall of Fame, because they're back in the good graces of baseball because they're all dead. So a lifetime ban, meaning just that. Once you die, then the ban is lifted. That's what Rob Manfred ruled yesterday. By the way, Mark, before we get to the rest of our show, what'd you just think of Manfred's decision and his reasoning behind it? Because he's getting criticized. He's being called a flip-flopper. All right. And, I think some people are saying, boy, you kind of chickened out on this one, waited till he died. But The reasoning is you serve a lifetime ban. Your life's over, ban's over.
The only thing I will say in defense of Manfred, and David, when was it Manfred spoke on Rose when he was alive and said basically he couldn't trust Rose to not bet on baseball again?
Well, I believe Manfred took over in 2015, and Pete immediately said, "Hey, new commish, can I get a meeting with you?" And Manfred said yes. And Manfred heard him out. And then a few months later came out and publicly said, yeah, we don't trust him. We don't think he would be a good baseball citizen, and I can't reinstate him. And I will say it didn't help Pete's case when reportedly Manfred and Major League Baseball was saying, Pete, you got to stop the gambling. Remember, this is 10 years ago. We didn't have nearly the proliferation of gambling that we had now. That Supreme Court decision, I believe, was 2019. It's been really the last 5-6 years that the gambling scene has exploded. 10 years ago, it was still like 4 places in this country that you could legally place a bet. And baseball pleaded with Pete. And Pete went okay and reportedly left the meeting and went to go gamble.
So from that standpoint, he didn't flip-flop in that sense. He came out and said, I don't trust Pete to not gamble on baseball. And Pete proved that he would continue to gamble while he was alive. So, lifetime ban, not living, ban lifted. The only thing I would say, why the hell did he wait this long to do it for Shoeless Joe Jackson? If you were so emphatic on the person having to be dead to be eligible, Shoeless Joe's been dead quite a while.
Correct. One, I don't know if anybody ever asked on behalf of Shoeless Joe Jackson and the 15 others. If they did, it didn't get any publicity. I think he just included Shoeless Joe and the 15 others to be able to rationalize his decision. They're all dead. So therefore, a lifetime ban means just that. Well, you're alive, you're banned, you're dead, ban's over. And this way he can rationalize his decision 10 years into being commissioner. I will say this, and this has always bothered me. I would argue, I would love to be able to go to, if there was an arbiter, or even to the Baseball Hall of Fame and say, why is he not on the ballot now? And don't tell me because his career ended in 1986 and that he was never placed on the ballot. Okay, my feeling is Shoeless Joe, Pete Rose, and these 15 others should now start from zero. Okay, I think they should be on the ballot this year, and the writers should get 10 cracks at them. And then go through the process and then wait a few more years and then go to committee. The writers never got to vote on Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, or the 15 others. Well, then shouldn't they be allowed to? I mean, you're the ones, by the way, that wouldn't let them vote. Okay? I mean, the Baseball Hall of Fame changed the rules. Pete Rose was a year and a half away from coming up for a vote. And Bud Selig pressured the out of you guys to change the rules so that he never came up for a vote. It was also Fay Vincent, because Fay Vincent was actually commissioner at the time. And baseball put a lot of pressure on the Hall of Fame to change their rules. And all of a sudden, because when Rose signed his life away, A, he could be reinstated in a year, but B, he was eligible for the Hall of Fame.
And Pete thought that the lifetime ban from baseball would never have anything to do with his eligibility for the Hall of Fame.
And 3.5 years after the ban, they changed the rules. And remember, it was a 5-year waiting period. And now all of a sudden, if you're on the ineligible list, you're no longer eligible to be voted on for the Hall of Fame. And by the way, why should one have anything to do with the other? Just because you can't get a job in baseball doesn't mean you're not a Hall of Famer, right? So anyway, but Ron Blum will join us in a little over half an hour. He's been covering baseball for 40 years. Last night was an amazing night in baseball. We're guessing you didn't pay much attention to it. That's what the starting five is for. All right. Miller and Moulton were all in last night on everything going on in sports. Christopher Powers will join us midway through the show as we'll talk the PGA Championship. It's a hump day, so Seth will join us in a couple hours. And John Forslund, who called games 3 and 4 of the Panthers-Leafs series. He also just got done calling game 4 of the Caps-Canes series. John Forslund to talk some pucks in our bonus hour at 9 o'clock Eastern. For those affiliates that don't get the 9 a.m. Eastern hour, a little after 10 o'clock Eastern, you can download what you miss every day at millerandmoulton.com. That's when it's posted.
PGA gets going tomorrow. Did you see the big threesome?
No.
Rory, Scheffler, Schauffele. Giddy up.
Here we go.
I mean, what's that, your last 3 PGA champions?
Hold on.
Or 3, no, that's not right. But
Well,
Scheffler had one.
I think Scheffler just has the 2 Masters.
Okay. So
But obviously Schauffele won last year's PGA. Rory won the Masters and is a former PGA champion. And is Scheffler still technically the number 1 golfer in the world, or does Rory pass him? Yeah.
So you have the 3 best players in the world all teeing off together. I don't know if that puts any more pressure on any one of them, but certainly makes the watch Thursday and Friday a little bit better.
So hopefully, weather permitting, that A, the PGA starts on time, and B, it's not lift, clean, in place.
Did you see Hunter Mahan's comment about Quail Hollow? It's like a Kardashian. It's
yes.
very modern. It's very beautiful, but it lacks any soul. Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Damn. Great quote.
It really is.
It's a great quote.
More I read about that course, I like it. The guy who's the main money behind it's a member at Augusta National. His goal was to make this the best course in the country, not named Augusta.
Well, it was so good it got a major, and now for the second time, I believe. So
yes,
obviously, listen, when they remove a tour stop, every 6 to 8 years, because man, that course is so good. Let's play a major at it. Oh, okay, well done. So that's our show and our lineup, but our poll question, and we're going to promote this a lot today because it's the last time
ever.
Miller and Moulton doing this almost 19 years. This is the last time. This is not a boxing retirement or a wrestling retirement or an old quarterback retirement. Pete Rose, will he now get voted into the Hall of Fame? With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good.
you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This is Miller and Moulton.
DeChambeau, for whoever asked, is paired with Hovland and Gary Woodland.
And they're going off at like 2 o'clock off the first tee. They're like one of the last groups, 147. They're like the sixth to last group that tees off. It is interesting they're sending, by the way, Rory, Schauffele, and Scheffler off the back. I think it starts on ESPN Plus Ambient, but then goes to ESPN. Noon to 7, ESPN, Thursday, Friday. ESPN 2, noon to 3, will have an alternate broadcast those 2 days. Okay, and ESPN Plus is 7 a.m. to noon. And then the mornings on the weekends. And ESPN Plus will do featured group as well.
Mongo, if you're talking about Scheffler, they're going off at 10. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. McIlroy, Schauffele, and Scheffler. 822 off of 10 on Thursday, off of 1 on Friday.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Ron Blum, who covers Major League Baseball for the Associated Press, will join us at that time. Talk about one of the big stories yesterday. We had a lot of big stories yesterday, though. Sure, we'll have more today. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is the Starting Five.
It's not the most important, but we'll get it out of the way. The NFL, the full schedule gets released tonight at 8 o'clock. There were 2 games that we became officially aware of yesterday. ABC, and by the way, Monday Night Football moving back to ABC full-time. No longer on ESPN. I have no idea if they'll simulcast it, but Monday Night Football moving back officially to ABC full-time. And the one game that they announced is essentially the tush-push war. Remember, it was the Packers who were the ones that officially asked to get rid of the tush-push, which the commissioner is still considering, by the way, and apparently is on the Packers' side. He just can't get the votes. So November 10th, Monday Night Football, Eagles at Packers. And Thanksgiving night, it was disclosed last night, NBC is going to have the Bucs at the Rams. Be curious to see how many primetime games Baker and the boys get this year. They're a sneaky good watch. I would get him on often. People like him also. Full schedule gets released tonight at 8 o'clock. There will be leaks throughout the day. Baseball, Commissioner Manfred reinstates all the deceased members from Major League Baseball's ineligible list, meaning Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and 15 others are eligible for the Hall of Fame. Although Rose and Shoeless Joe will not be voted on until the Classic Baseball Era Committee meets, and they don't meet again until December of 2027, 2.5 years from now. That Classic Baseball Era Committee takes on the candidacies of people whose, quote, biggest impact to baseball was prior to 1980. As for on the field last night, I want you to ask yourself, when a single night in baseball, never mind a Tuesday in May, was this good? The Rays, well, of course they won because they went on the road, but they had to score 5 in the 9th to come from behind and beat Toronto 11-9. Junior Caminero with a grand slam to give them the lead.
Did you see how hard he hit that baseball?
It
went off the facing of like the third deck. I mean, he absolutely crushed that ball.
There are not many players, Mark. Okay, remember when Canseco in his prime would hit a ball? Giancarlo Stanton hits that Tiger 2-iron home run. Okay, this was very Giancarlo Stanton-esque. That's how hard he hit it. Seattle snapped the 4-game skid with a walk-off 2-1 win in 11 over the Yankees. Aaron Judge, by the way, is hitting .410. The Twins' 8-game winning streak on hold. They were rained out in Baltimore. They'll play a double dip today. The Cardinals' 9-game winning streak on hold, rained out in Philly. They'll play a doubleheader today. Cubs with 3 in the 9th. Justin Turner, a 2 RBI walk-off double for the Cubs to beat the Marlins 5-4. So that's 2 walk-offs and a come-from-behind grand slam to take the lead and win. The Mets get a Brett Beatty homer in the 7th to beat the Pirates 2-1. The Braves are back to 500, ladies and gentlemen, and it took them to the quarter pole to get there. Remember the 0 and whatever start? Remember 5 and 13? Yeah, they're 21 and 21. Don't sleep on the Braves. They're getting Acuna back by Memorial Day. 5-2 Braves over the Nats. Jose Ramirez, a homer, scored 2 runs. Guardians shut out the Brewers 2-0. How about the Red Sox-Tigers game last night? Oh, my goodness. If this were an October game, we'd remember it forever, and we'd talk about it for years. Back and forth they went. It goes to extra innings. Red Sox take the lead in the 10th. Tigers tie it. Red Sox with 2 in the 11th. Of course they're going to win it. Javi Baez has already hit a 3-run homer. He hits another one to walk it off for the Tigers in 11, 10-9. That's 3 walk-offs. Houston gets an Isaac Paredes walk-off homer in the 9th to beat the Royals 2-1. The White Sox score 4 in the 10th to beat the Reds 5-1. Since he's lost 8 of 10, amazing stat. They've played 43 games. In 12 of them, they've scored 1 run or less. Yikes. Texas got 2 homers from Josh Young to beat Colorado 4-1. Colorado 7-35. Unreal. Tatis with a walk-off homer in the 9th for the Padres. They scored 2 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th to beat the Angels 6-4. That's 5 walk-offs. Christian Koss, his first Major League homer was a salami. Giants snap a 4-game skid, beat Arizona 10-6. A's bombed the Dodgers. Jacob Wilson had 4 hits, including 2 2-run homers. How about that night in baseball? 5 walk-off hits.
How about that?
For a Tuesday.
Not bad for a Tuesday, David. Not bad
for a Tuesday. NBA. The Cavaliers were putting a hurting on the Pacers. You know, team down 3-1, comes back at home, blows out said opponent, and, you know, road teams got to go back home and close it out in 6 or else they're in trouble. Yeah, the Pacers said, hold on, we're down 19. It's only mid-second quarter, right? We got plenty of time. They cut it to 4 at the half, and they took over from there, dominated the Cavs most of the second half. Cleveland made a run in the 4th, got it to within 1. Pacers 114-105. They eliminate the Cavs in 5. Second year in a row, ladies and gentlemen, the Indiana Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals. Will the Knicks join them tonight? We'll see. Boston without Jason Tatum, a 4.5-point favorite, by the way. And the T-Wolves, no Steph Curry for the Warriors. T-Wolves an 11.5-point favorite at home. But I'm saving the best for last. Don't know how many of you watched. You missed a game. Denver and Oklahoma City, and you missed a performance. The best player in the league, Jokic, 44 points and 15 rebounds. He was tremendous in the 4th quarter. Jokic and Murray combined for 72 points for the Nuggets, and they lost. OKC comes from 8 down at the start of the 4th. SGA with 31. Williams hits the tie-breaking 3 with 1:10 to go. Thunder 112. Nuggets 105. OKC up 3-2. Game 6 in Denver. Jason Tatum, by the way, torn Achilles, already had surgery, out for a very long time. The Mavs came out publicly and said they will not trade the number 1 pick in the draft. It's very fascinating if you're Dallas, though. You made the deal that you made and said we have a 3-year window with our core. And if you could trade Cooper Flagg and get Giannis, yes? No? If we're doing sports in Dallas, Mark, that's our poll question for today.
You know, and we'll get into it a little bit later, but a lot of basketball people wonder if that would work with Giannis and AD. Giannis is far better, don't get me wrong, but they're so similar in the part of the court that they play in that you wonder if that would work. That's all.
I will say this, AD might have to be included in the deal to make it work from a cap standpoint. I wonder if you're Dallas, if you actually do that. You sure you couldn't play them both on the floor at the same time? Really?
I'm not saying you couldn't play them both on the floor at the same time, but they both play a
I know.
similar. Giannis is far better.
Right. No, and AD doesn't want to be a 5. AD wants to play the 4, and Giannis is a 4. I get it. But, man, I don't know, man. If I figure out a way to work with this guy, we could win a title. We could win 2. Speaking of Dallas in the NHL, anyway, Stars beat the Jets 3-1 to take a 3-1 lead in that series. Michael Granlund with a hat trick, 2 of the goals on the power play. Ottinger outplaying Hellebuck again. Did you see the first goal he gave up? I know. I know the defense let the guy get, about 8-10 feet closer, and ideally you'd want him to get. Come on, you got to stop that wrist shot. Are you serious?
And he got lucky a couple other times in which he left rebounds on the doorstep of guys missing the net. I mean, there was.
Yep.
The better team is Dallas.
They are.
The series started. It really isn't that big of a surprise to Miller and Moulton that Dallas is in control of this series.
No, listen, Dallas and Colorado were the 2 best rosters in that conference. That doesn't mean that, Dallas is going to get past Edmonton and get to the finals, because Edmonton beat them last year because they got the 2 best players in the game, or 2 of the 3 anyway. 2 hockey games tonight. Panthers and Leafs tied at 2. Let's get it on north of the border, 7 o'clock ESPN. And can Edmonton go to Vegas and eliminate the Knights? They're up 3-1, that game to follow. By the way, the minority owner of the Panthers got suspended by the league yesterday. Did you see that story?
Yeah, did you see why?
Yeah, he gets into it used to be a Twitter war, but an X posting with a Leafs fan online gets completely inappropriate about and starts going off the reservation, gets into the Israeli-Palestine thing, and the league is like, dude, we can't be associated with you. So he's suspended, and he's got to go meet with Bettman. See how long this suspension lasts. He's a minority owner. Nobody cares, but it's out there. College football, the ACC is meeting in Amelia Island. Their regular spring meetings, football and basketball. Belichick was there yesterday. He was asked by ACC Network about his girlfriend, and Belichick said, quote, Jordan Hudson doesn't have anything to do with North Carolina football, unquote. Okay.
All right.
Belichick then gave a 6-minute interview to WRAL, and the North Carolina people said to the TV station, don't ask him about Hudson. So at the beginning of the interview, the reporter said, we will air this interview in its entirety. We've been told not to ask Coach about Jordan Hudson. Coach, nice to have you. And then they went and did the interview. But they aired that little disclaimer at the beginning.
Good for them. That's the number 1 station in that market. It has been for 600 years. WRAL kind of gets to do what they want.
Yep.
And they're not told by universities how to conduct their business.
By the way, Belichick sits down with Strahan on Good Morning America Friday. Illinois extended both their football and basketball coach. Brett Bielema gets a 6-year extension through the rest of the decade in 2030 at $7.7 million a year. Yeah, that's 6 for 46 and change. Not bad for going 10-3 last year, huh? Being preseason top 15 this year. And Brad Underwood at Illinois is getting $4.5 million a year over 6 years. So there. It's good to work at the University of Illinois these days. But
we're
remember,
all in Champaign-Urbana. That's what they're saying, David.
But remember, we have to have scholarship limits. We can only have no walk-ons anymore. We make sure.
Right.
PGA, so the tee times are out. I got to admit, this is a little thing. I always enjoy what the first group of the tournament is. Okay, because oftentimes, like at a U.S. Open or an Open Championship, it's like a couple of qualifiers and, a 38-year-old journeyman pro. The very first tee time of the PGA is 7 a.m. tomorrow off the first tee. It's Luke Donald, Padraig Harrington, and Martin Keimer. Now, Luke Donald never should have been number 1 in the world, but that's a guy who was number 1 in the world. Harrington's won what? 3 majors, 4 majors? And Keimer won 2. Damn. It's a pretty good first grouping off the tee.
It's an early get up for those guys.
It is 7 a.m.
That's an early get up. That means they're leaving the house by 5 a.m. probably to get to the course.
Yep. Out hitting balls in the dark. That's for sure. Might even be putting in the dark.
Just make sure you follow the proper lanes to get to your parking spots at Quail Hollow.
So the marquee group, Mark mentioned it last segment. It's Rory, it's Scotty, it's Xander Schauffele, the defending champ. They're going to go off the back tomorrow at 8:22. So if you want to watch them, you're going to have to go to ESPN Plus and watch most of their round because ESPN picks up the coverage at noon. They will, however, tee off at almost 2 in the afternoon Friday. There are some great threesomes out there. Absolutely great. Look it up. Okay, if you're into golf, this should be a great television watch. That's weather permitting. And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting five. 5 big stories and some glorious tee times here on Miller and Moulton.
Ron Blum will join us on the other side. Christopher Powers at 8 a.m. Seth Everett at the 8 o'clock hour. And John Forslund at 9 a.m. here on Miller and Moulton.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Hey, Daddy, you may be right. I actually listened to a great deal of NBA radio yesterday.
Wait, I'm sorry. What?
I listened to a great deal of NBA radio yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. I'm waiting for the lightning bolt. It's going to hit one of us. Holy blank.
And the people on NBA radio really did not support a Giannis to Dallas trade. They don't. The other thing they talked about is that big threes aren't working. That was the interesting part when they really got into our big threes still working. And you look at the teams that are having success, it's a team. It's not a big three. So just thought it was interesting. Now, San Antonio for Giannis?
Listen, if he goes there, I mean, we'll give him 1 year to work through some kinks, I guess, get some playoff experience for the rest of the roster. But, yeah, they'd certainly put a banner up.
Ron is on. Told him how excited we were to talk baseball this time of day. Gave good phone there. That was should have probably left the mic on. That was exceptional phone. Cassia would have been proud of that phone.
Was it Trent phone?
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks for getting over it with us. Christopher Powers to talk the PGA in an hour. Seth Everett's weekly appearance in 90 minutes. John Forslund to talk hockey in 2 hours. But we are thrilled to welcome back Ron Blum. He's covered Major League Baseball for the Associated Press for 40 years. He's a Hall of Fame voter. Ron, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, listen, before we get to the big story, we just made a case. Last night in Major League Baseball is one of the best regular season nights we can imagine. 5 walk-off hits, 3 slams. I mean, hell, and the 2 teams with the longest winning streaks, it got rained out. I mean, honestly, baseball's got to figure out a way to market last night. It was amazing.
Yeah, and part of it, some of it happened late in the West Coast night games, and people just catch up with it in the morning.
But a great night nonetheless for baseball. But part of the reason and the main reason we brought you on is Rob Manfred yesterday taking Rose, Shoeless Joe, and others off of the permanently banned list now that they have passed, and mainly because Pete Rose passed in September, and making them eligible for the Hall of Fame. Now, first off, do you think it should go right to the senior committee or the committee for players before 1980, or do you think the writers should have had a chance to vote on this?
Well, the way the rules work, the writers will not have a chance to vote because when Rose retired in the 80s, would have been eligible only for the writers' ballot in years 6 through 20 following his retirement. So there's no structure for him to appear before the BBWA membership. So the way the hall's set up, his fate will be decided first by the Historical Overview Committee appointed by the BBWA, and that will be sometime in the fall.
December 27,
the Historical Overview Committee. And then if that committee does put him on the ballot, then he goes to the 16 voters picked by the Hall and the BBWA that'll meet at the 2027 winter meetings, which also will be rather interesting because there's a great expectation there will be no 2026 winter meetings since they're scheduled for the week after what is widely expected to be the start of the lockout.
But Ron, you're a Hall of Fame voter, and for what it's worth, Miller and Moulton are not. But we feel, and I understand, you laid out what the rules are, but you guys never got a shot at Rose or Shoeless Joe Jackson. I mean, they changed the rules, by the way, so that you could never get a shot. You were supposed to get your shot at Rose, never mind anyone else. I mean, don't you think that, quite frankly, that you guys should get your shot before it goes to committee?
But it's also, to some extent, yes, but to another extent, no, that the voting group for the Hall is so different now than it would have been in the fall of 1991 through the time to consider Rose, because people have retired.
Right.
The voting rules have changed, that it's some of the people have been culled, and probably as a group 100 fewer voters now than there were then. And the numbers of people who saw Rose play, who would have been a large percentage of the voters back then, very few of today's voters saw him play. Even me, who I'm trying to think, I probably, as a player, only saw him on the field during the last 9 years, maybe 10 years of his career. And as a working everyday writer, my first year was 87, so I was at the very tail end of his playing career when I was working. So I don't know how you put the egg back together once it's scrambled that way.
All right. When he becomes eligible for the vote in 2.5 years, do you think he has any shot to get in with this committee?
Well, there are two committees, remember. First, there's the Overview Committee, which is picked by the BBWAA in consultation and approval with the Hall. And then there's the actual 16-person committee, which is a mixture of club officials and media members and active Hall of Famers. So I would think it's going to be very difficult with him and I'm just guessing this, I have no factual basis. I am thinking that the Hall of Fame members, the 4, 5, 6 players, I don't recall the exact amount, it will be hard for him to gain support among his peers given what he did. If you look at those players, so that will harm him. The writers are a small group, and then the executives, it's hard to tell. Because that, I think, widely depends on which ones are chosen.
Ron Blum covers Major League Baseball for the Associated Press, and he's kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. He's also a Hall of Fame voter. Ron, if I could ask a couple of quick questions. First off, have you ever been on one of these special committees?
No, I have not.
Okay. Do you want to be on one? Like, would you be honored, or would you go, oh, I don't need
I
this?
don't. Look, if I'm asked, I would be honored to do it. If it's not something you campaign for, and whatever Jane and Jack and the others who choose it do is fine by me.
By the way, have you and your fellow writers ever discussed what if we ever got a shot at Shoeless Joe? Like, we know it's going to be a very hard road for Pete. I mean, we're seeing now in special committee what a hard road it is for Bonds and Clemens in comparison to the vote totals they got from the writers. They're getting much lower vote totals in committee. But have you guys ever kicked around, what if you ever had a shot at voting on Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Not to the point where I've really looked year by year at his stats and where it ranks. And you know that his batting average is so high, and you know what he accomplished. You know what the reports were in the Black Sox scandal, both the criminal trial and Major League Baseball was then just the commissioner's decision, Commissioner Landis. And then you also know that he did appear on the writer's ballot once, and the ballot to get on the ballot once, and he received very little support, under 5%. But it's probably, I would think, I'd have to go back and read the contemporaneous articles. I would think the decision back then in the 30s and 40s was very much reflected of the attitude coming out of the Black Sox scandal. So I think if he were ever on that ballot, 16 voters would give a hard look and sort out where he ranks given what he was accused of doing and found to have done.
Help me out here, Ron, because the Baseball Writers Association, if I'm not mistaken, if you get a Hall of Fame vote, you keep it, even if you're not covering baseball on a daily basis. Should they widen the people who are allowed to vote on the Hall and give media members who may be play-by-play people, some people who are involved in the game on a daily basis, should the vote be expanded to those that are in the game, and those that are not actively writing about baseball, should they be able to keep their vote?
No, and in fact, they no longer are. After the person, and I forget at this moment his name, basically gave up his vote and didn't vote his conscience and did a piece about it. The rules were changed 10 or 15 years ago, I think.
Well,
and so if you're not an active voter after 10 or active covering Major League Baseball on a daily basis, after about 10 years, you are culled from the Hall voting list. So that's why in recent years, the total number of voters is about 400, down from a peak of in the 500s, maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Talking baseball with Ron Blum in light of what Commissioner Manfred announced yesterday that Rose, Shoeless Joe, and 15 others are now off the ineligible list, and their candidacies can be taken up by the Hall of Fame. Ron, a final question. If Aaron Judge, and I don't mean he continues to hit 400, but if Aaron Judge finishes this decade this prodigious a slugger, what are we talking here historically, especially with the team that he plays on? Does he now start to enter the mantle conversation? I mean, what are we talking here?
If he continues to put up these numbers for another 5 to 7 years, yes. And he's put up these numbers consistently now for 4 or 5 years. And you have to look at the greats of the game, especially if you look at the Mantle, Maggios, Mays, Aaron, Ruth, Gehrig. He's on a track to put those numbers up. But remember, a lot of players have done it at that level, at that point of their careers, and then been derailed by injuries. Look at how everyone's view of Mike Trout is now as opposed to 5 years ago, or the view of Don Mattingly before the back injuries. So you have to see how the career pans out looking backwards after it's over. But certainly in his early 30s, he's on a trajectory that if he keeps up this pace, he would be in that group.
33-year-old Aaron Judge is hitting .410 with 14 homers and 40 RBIs. We're at the quarter pole of the Major League Baseball season. Ron, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. Safe travels, and hopefully we can do this again.
Okay, glad to be with you guys. Have a good day.
Ron Blum of the Associated Press, a Baseball Hall of Fame voter. By the way, a stingy voter. His ballot last year, because the Baseball Writers Association of America, once, the votes are out, they release everybody's ballot. Unless, I guess, the writer, I guess they can check a box and say don't, but most now do. Ron Blum only voted for 3 guys last year for the Hall of Fame. Okay, he voted for CC Sabathia, Ichiro, and Billy Wagner. Didn't vote for Carlos Beltran. Didn't vote for Andrew Jones. Didn't vote for A-Rod. Okay, didn't vote for Manny Ramirez. Just saying. Didn't vote for Jimmy Rollins. Chase Utley. He only voted. I'm going through the nearly 400 writers here. There's only a handful who voted for 3 or less people, and Ron was one of them.
Very stingy.
Yeah.
But I don't have a problem with that.
No, I know you didn't. That's why I brought it up. I thought his credibility would go up in your eyes. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or NolanAgency.com.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yes, Arch. We have pointed that out numerous times, that when Rose signed his baseball life away, so to speak, he was going to be on the ballot in late 91 and the vote released in January 92. And then about a year and a half before they were going to vote on him, Major League Baseball pressured the Hall of Fame to change the rules, in which they said, oh, wait, now that you're on the ineligible list, you're not eligible to be voted on. I'll tell you what, Tim Kirchin was really good yesterday. Kirchin said, I had a very close friendship with Frank Robinson.
Heard it.
And when he said, and we were on a show together, and I said, if Rose was on the ballot today, I'd vote for him. And Frank, because Frank said what Bob Feller said. I mean, Feller said it to everybody, but I remember interviewing him in Fargo, and Feller said, if they put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, I'll go to Cooperstown myself and take my plaque off the wall. Yeah, Fay Vincent. Giamatti died. His deputy was Fay Vincent. Vincent was commissioner when they changed the rules. Well, Arch, they only voted once. And quite frankly, the vote was basically fixed. I mean, if Mountain Landis told you not to do something, you didn't do it. Also, there was no really evidence brought out to kind of clear Shoeless Joe. Big Chief, it would have been, Mark and I were old enough to remember, and maybe you were too. I don't know if Rose gets in first time on the ballot. I really don't. Remember the taboo that gambling was 35 years ago. I mean, you were better off being a heroin dealer. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. I think you had a better chance.
I think there's no way Pete Rose gets in on the first ballot when he would, if they would have made him eligible. No way.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
You got to remember, and to David's point, what we thought of. I mean, I was actually with I had soccer last night. One of the parents was, I remember first listening to David before you two were together, and David was the only show that would talk gambling, and it was you didn't talk about it even on. It wasn't part of sports talk radio the way it is now.
I mean, when you think about it, Miller and Moulton have had Lee Sterling. We've had a handicapper on our show since the very beginning, and we each had Lee on our solo shows previous to that.
Not to mention Burt Sugar.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. This is the final time we can go to this poll question. So we went there. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Since the lifetime ban has been lifted on Pete Rose, Shoeless Joe, and everybody else, there were 15 others, but specifically to Pete Rose, now that his candidacy can be taken up for the Baseball Hall of Fame, do you think Pete Rose will ever get in the Baseball Hall of Fame? And Mark, I believe you voted no.
I'm stunned. I think people are voting with what they think. I don't think they're necessarily reading the question. And if they are, that's fine. But it says, do you think Pete will get in the Hall of Fame? Not should he get in the Hall of Fame. Not do you think he should get in the Hall of Fame, but will he get in? And I think I don't think there's a chance. Like, I don't think it happens. There, in my lifetime, if I'm lucky enough to kick around this place for another 30 years, because that's always been my goal, David. I don't know if I'll get there. 85 is my goal.
Oh, okay, because mine was always 80, so that's good to know. I got 20 plus. I'm 59, so my goal is 20 more. Yours is 30. Good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think that I will see Pete Rose inducted in Cooperstown in my lifetime.
Wow, because I'm actually counting on the difference, when I die and those 10 extra years that you have. That's actually when I think the sweet spot is for this. Okay, because I voted yes, but I said it's going to take 20 plus years. This ain't happening in December of 27. There's
You
no
have
chance.
to remember the number one rule in baseball. It's the number one rule in the sport is you don't bet on baseball.
In fact, there are a lot of people that say there's only one rule in baseball, and he violated it.
And you brought up during the break Tim Kirkchen yesterday being interviewed about it and talking about Frank Robinson, and I heard it this morning. And when Kirkchen said he was going to support Rose getting into the Hall of Fame, and he was very friendly with Frank Robinson.
Yes, he said they had a close, great relationship.
And Frank Robinson screamed at him.
Right. Bob
Basically,
Feller.
what is the matter with you thinking that Pete Rose should get in the Hall? If he ever gets in, I will never go to Cooperstown again.
Kirkchen did say if he had a chance to vote on Rose's candidacy, he would walk into the room thinking he was going to vote for Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, and he would be open to the room talking him out of it. Bob Feller told anyone who would listen, anyone who would ask him, including a Cub reporter in Fargo, North Dakota in the late 90s, if they put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, I will walk to Cooperstown myself. I will go into the building and rip my plaque off the wall. I would want nothing to do with the Baseball Hall of Fame if they put him in.
So these are, and Feller and not with us anymore, but these are the type of people who will be on that committee. And that's why I think it will be incredibly difficult for Pete to ever get into the Hall, even though Rob Manfred took Pete off of the ineligible list yesterday.
And
I'm
sorry, Mark. And I'm just counting on one thing. I'm counting on literally a generation to go by in which, Mark, I think when we get to a committee in which no one on the classic baseball era committee has ever seen or covered anyone that they're voting on. Because if you notice, Shoeless Joe's support, was after he died, and well after he played. And they made a movie which was very pro Shoeless Joe. That was not when he was alive. I think the sentiment is still in the voting circle very negative on Pete, and I actually think we got to clear him out. And I think it's going to take 20, 30 years. And then once we do, gambling in 2050, 55, 2060, I mean, hell, you might have slot machines in your house. I think gambling could be so rampant. So anyway.
All right, time for the coolest thing that I've seen today. Brought to you by Air Advantage. Go to myairadvantage.com. 18 months, no interest, no payments available. If you are looking for a new air conditioning system, I recommend Air Advantage. myairadvantage.com, 239-433-4635. They are a Rheem Pro partner. They've worked with us for many a year. They're back now. Very happy to have Air Advantage back. Call them today, 433-4635 for your air conditioning needs. David, told you yesterday, this segment I thought was a really good idea.
Right.
This segment's a little harder to find something cool every day, but I'm going local, David.
Okay.
I'm going local today. I'm going to FSW baseball.
Okay.
They qualified for the JUCO World Series yesterday. First time in program history, On Tuesday, they rallied past Central Florida 6-5 to secure a spot in the NGCAA Division I World Series. They fell behind 3-1, rallied back for a 6-5 win, 44-15 on the season for FSW baseball. They are going to the JUCO World Series. Congratulations to them.
And a lot of pressure on that program because that JUCO in Southwest Florida, they have had the men's basketball team make the national tournament a couple times. They've had the women's basketball team make it often. The men's team, I think, nearly won it the one year. Okay, or did they win it? But the volleyball teams, won 3 in a row? National championships. The softball teams won 2 or 3 softball national titles in a row. So,
it would be great if the four-year university worked a little more closely with the JUCO to bring players on board, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but FSW at damn near every sport has been incredibly successful. Incredibly successful. Softball, they go to the Natties every year. Baseball, they're now qualified. Basketball, you mentioned. Volleyball, you mentioned.
Well, the volleyball coach at FSW became the volleyball coach a few months ago at FGCU.
Which was a shocker to me because they had not done much. That new leadership at FGCU and finally maybe looking at FSW the way they should be.
Well, I have to admit, the angst between the schools was more FSW towards FGCU than the other way around. Okay. Now, there's reasons for that, and I'm not saying that it wasn't justified, but there definitely was a Cold War going on where FSW did not want to help out FGCU. They didn't want their athletes necessarily going there, going to other schools. I believe that war is over. Okay, I know the baseball program has grabbed some FSW guys. I think even the softball program did recently. Okay, softball coach at FGCU just retired. I think the thaw has been lifted. All right, but you're right. It was there.
For a lot of years.
Yeah, we needed détente. We had a bit of a Cold War. We needed some détente.
And you're right. Most of the people that were involved in that Cold War are long gone from both places. So FSW, the coolest thing I've seen today, brought to you by our good friends at Air Advantage. Visit them online, myairadvantage.com.
By the way, we all had the Pacers in 5, right?
Right.
No, and I mean it, all of you. And I know many of you, you're not basketball or NBA fans anymore, or you pay attention only in the playoffs. But I mean, seriously, did you pick the Pacers at all? Do you know anyone nationally who picked the Pacers to win the series?
David, we could do a segment of Old Takes Exposed just on me explaining to everyone that Boston and Cleveland are playing for the Eastern Conference Finals, and there's no reason to watch the Eastern Conference until we get to the conference finals.
Well, Keith Smith covers the NBA. Before the playoffs started, we said, Keith, is it Boston and Cleveland in the Eastern Finals? Is this a foregone conclusion? And he said, well, it's not a foregone conclusion, but yeah, it's going to happen. Yeah, Cleveland just lost in 5. They went 0-3 at home in this series. Miller and Moulton. Christopher Powers to talk golf in 30 minutes.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Ream Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymade.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
All right, a few things here in the Twitch chat room. Knicks. No, Pete actually was damn near beloved. Most teammates really liked him. Some were jealous of, him always seeking out the camera. But the media loved Pete because Pete always talked.
Well, and I will say this. I was a big Reds fan as a kid. With the heyday of the Big Red Machine, the Tigers were not good. My parents took me to a regular season Reds game, and we went to Kings Island for my birthday. My mom snuck down from our seats down by the dugout to try to get a few photos for me. She didn't take me with her. She just kind of disappeared. I didn't even know what she was doing. And she yelled at Johnny Bench. We're there way early. And she yelled at Johnny Bench, and Johnny Bench basically turned and ignored her. Then she yelled, "Hey, Pete." Pete turned, smiled, waved, and my mom took a photo of Pete Rose. I have no other encounters. I couldn't have been more than 7, 8 years old. This is 78, 79, somewhere in there. And my mom, because I love Johnny Bench. That was Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan were probably my two favorite Reds at that time. Not Pete, but for what it's worth.
And Sonny, if you're talking about the All-Star game in Detroit, it was 71, not 69. But it was amazing.
So anyhow, I'm watching. I quit watching Full Swing season 2, David. It kind of got dark with that Joel Dahlman, and it wasn't going anywhere.
Okay.
And a few people at the club were like, you're right on with season 2, watch season 3.
Okay.
I watched the first episode. They're going to Augusta. They're not messing around. They start basically with Augusta. They happen to interview that, is it Neil Shipley or the fat amateur from Ohio?
Okay.
Shipley. They interview him. They got him 3 weeks before the tournament in Columbus at his apartment. They sought him out, and he ends up making the cut. But they had him in Butler cabin, unpacking his stuff. They had the amateur dinner, and they had the head of the USGA speaking to all the amateurs with the members in the room footage. They had some access to the par 3 tournament that I've never seen. I'm watching this going, are you kidding me right now?
Wow.
I could not believe the access they had. I mean, I was just stunned what Augusta gave them.
Clark,
yes, they're still looking for sponsors.
Yes, Clark.
Good
The answer
God,
is yes till the end of time. Well, 7 more years from me. I did a contract with Mark in which I get his daughter to college. After that, I'm day to day. And Mark was okay with that. And we still got 7 to go. Which probably doesn't work for Mark, but, at the time we did the deal, I think we did that deal about 3-4 years ago. So,
When did you text, Clark? I'll tell you, Clark, shoot me an email. It's mark@millerandmoulton.com. And EB, if you see that car wash girl, That is the most unprofessional human I've dealt with in 20 years.
Wow. Working at the car wash.
Ability to not be able to text, call, or email a human back really infuriates me. It's not that hard. Well, we don't really have, I mean, Feeney, I love it, but we don't have flag football players who listen to our show. It really wouldn't be a good advertising source for them. Ask her if she knows how to return a text, call, or email, EB, because I'm to the point where I'm going to send a scathing email to her.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Christopher Powers covers golf for a living. PGA gets underway tomorrow. Listen, can I go golf goober for like 20 seconds? And if you're listening and you're not into golf, just 20, 30 seconds. Man, I start looking at these threesomes. They're really good.
Well, this is an unbelievable field. Of the majors, you could argue, I don't even think you can argue, this is the best field of any of the majors.
Which is interesting, though, because there's like 24 club pros that are in it.
Right, but at the Masters, you've got a bunch of amateurs, a bunch of past champions, you go into the Masters knowing that there's 30 guys that have no chance of winning the tournament every year. Same thing with the U.S. Open, with all of the qualifiers and all of those things. Same with the British. The PGA, from a standpoint of players in the top 100, year in, year out, has the best field.
I mean, Lucas Glover, Max Homa, Joaquin Niemann, Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Colin Morikawa, Spieth, Patrick Reed, Ludwig Oberg.
By the way, Patrick Reed,
mm-hmm.
when I was going through all the stats a couple of days ago, there's a guest, and it's my fault because I should have told you on like Sunday. Matt Vincenza, I believe his name is. We've had him on before. He bets golf, writes about golf, does a terrific job. Had a huge breakdown of long iron play, similar course play, strokes gained putting, all of these things relevant to this year's PGA. I'll be damned, but Patrick Reed showed up on a lot of lists for that, David.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was going to bring up, and this is really golf goober talk, but it appears as if Keegan Bradley is very open to the idea of not only Bryson DeChambeau, but Brooks Koepka on the Ryder Cup team. Everything that he's done, if it's a lunch, if it's a dinner, and what have you, he's invited DeChambeau and Koepka, and obviously they're both on LIV now. But Patrick Reed hasn't been invited to anything. Well, Patrick Reed's playing a lot better than Brooks Koepka.
A lot better.
And has for a while. Now, Koepka's Mr. Major. He does, he can do nothing for a few months and show up in back-to-back majors and go win T2. Okay? And he's won the PGA multiple times. But, I mean, if we're being honest, never mind his record in international competition. I mean, I know nobody likes him, but I don't know what to tell you. The guy can play.
Yes, he can. And you're right. Nobody likes him.
But I don't know, Mark. I mean, how important is it? I mean, seriously, how important is it? I mean, really? You got one jerk on the team? His wife's going to be there as well. And I know they, try to get into it and all that, the whole family atmosphere for a week, blah, blah, blah. I mean, seriously.
Do you want to win or not?
Yeah, Patrick, how many people would you pick, Americans, a Sunday singles match over Patrick Reed? Would you pick 10 golfers over Patrick Reed? Sunday singles, a point on the line. Big point, too. I don't think there's 10. Jordan Spieth, Patrick Reed today.
First off, that's not even a real question to me. It's not close.
All right.
Not close.
Okay. Just ask.
By the way, put it this way right now. Spieth and Reed, Thursday, Friday scores. I'll take Reed right now.
And they're in the same group.
Exactly.
DeChambeau, Hovland, Gary Woodland. By the way, great story, Gary Woodland. My goodness. I mean, had brain surgery a year and a half ago after winning the U.S. Open and coming back and playing good golf. And he's a great guy. Terrific story. You got the marquee group of Rory, Scheffler, and Schauffele. But, I mean, you know, you got Koepka, Fowler, and Shane Lowry.
Did you? I mean, I think you did, and if you did, I apologize. But JT, Dustin Johnson, and Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, it was the second group I mentioned. I
know.
know.
You were going pretty quickly.
No, I'm sorry. Rahm, okay. Matt Fitzpatrick, and I can't read Patrick Cantlay. By the way, I do love the majors. They have a sense of humor. They find the golfers that want to play the fastest and put Patrick Cantlay in their group. For the last 2 years, it's been Koepka. Now they did it to Rahm. I think it's spectacular.
By the way, sneaky good group to me. Terrell Hatton, Will Zalatoris, Adam Scott. Hatton can play. He's fun to watch.
And Will Zalatoris nearly won the PGA in 2022, lost in a playoff to JT. So when healthy, he can't putt though. Boy, great ball striker. Weighs 114 pounds, but can't putt. But anyway, PGA gets underway tomorrow. Christopher Powers to talk about it coming up in about 20 minutes' time.
Can I just give you, I read this during the break, and I meant to tell you over the break. But just when it comes to how baseball has changed and pitching and the like. Ryan Spader, who's been a frequent guest on the show and does a great job. And if you're a baseball person, he's a must follow on X.
Mark, what's his X handle again?
Ace of Spader.
Thank you very much.
But 57 years ago today, Don Drysdale threw a complete game shutout. It would be the first of 6 consecutive complete game shutouts. Max Scherzer, one of the best pitchers of our time, has 6 complete game shutouts in his career.
And that is likely to end up being a Hall of Fame career.
Right.
Right.
Drysdale did it 6 starts in a row.
And that was, 68, the year of the pitcher. They raised the mound to 15 inches. Gibson with the 1.12 ERA. But yes, yeah. The pitching stats from 1968 are obscene. But Miller and Moulton have always just enjoyed the innings pitched stats from the 60s and the 70s. We've just always enjoyed those. Guys used to go 300 innings in a season, folks. Used to go 300 innings. Pitch every 4 days, have 40 to 42 starts. 300 innings.
By the way, the text line's open at 21,000. Always enjoy to hear from you who's not watching on Twitch or YouTube. If you want to check in with the show, 21,000. The keyword is Miller. And a golf fan said Hatton and Spieth together would be a pay-per-view event if they allowed full access to their dialogue. Yes. Yes, it would be. No doubt there. By the way, the leaks, they are coming, David. We have a Thanksgiving game.
Well, today's CBS scheduled leak. CBS is allowed to officially leak a game today, and they have just done so on the CBS Morning News. Mark, what's the leak?
Kansas City will head to Dallas for a Thanksgiving Day game.
Oh, no one's going to watch that. Who's going to watch Chiefs and Cowboys 4:30 Eastern on Thanksgiving Day?
Do you throw a division game at the Lions for the other half of that, with that division being so juicy?
I wish I had the Lions list of opponents in front of me here. Here's the reason why, if I'm Fox Could you save a good opponent for another day? I can get a 30 rating and 35 million people watch just because it's 12:30. Although they are moving the game back to 1 o'clock this Thanksgiving. Hell, I can get 30 million people to watch just because it's Thanksgiving. I don't even need a good opponent.
Home games for the Lions outside of their division. Dallas, we know that won't happen because they're playing. The Giants, they won't do that. The Browns, they won't do that. The Steelers and Tampa Bay.
Ooh. Well, Tampa Bay is playing Thanksgiving night in Los Angeles against the Rams. Could we have a return of Bettis at the Lions? Could we have a coin flip in overtime?
Right.
Oh, boy, did I date myself there.
So those schedule leaks will come. The college football matchups for opening weekend. Some of those came out yesterday as well. And
did I see correctly, week 1, Notre Dame's at Miami?
Yes, they are, David.
Wow. Let's go.
Sunday night, 7:30 on ABC, the Fighting Irish taking on the Canes. Saturday night at 7:30, Death Valley at Death Valley, LSU and Clemson.
Now, by Friday night, we're talking like August 29th, right?
Yes.
Okay, because it's not the first Friday of the NFL. It's week 1 is the week earlier. So,
in fact, Thursday, August 28th, we get started on ESPN. South Florida's in the mix.
I saw that.
They're hosting Boise.
It's a nice little game.
And then the late game Thursday is Nebraska at Cincinnati. Friday, we get Georgia Tech at Colorado. And then Saturday at noon, Syracuse at Tennessee. Saturday, 3:30, Alabama and Florida State. The LSU Clemson game at 7:30. And then Sunday at 3:30 or 3 o'clock, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. 7:30, Notre Dame, Miami. And the Monday night game.
Here we go, baby.
PM on ESPN, the Tar Heels, Chapel Bill, hosting TCU.
I guess June 1st is the magic date. It's a $9 million day. If Belichick walks away before June 1st, he owes him $10 million. If he walks away after June 1st, he only owes him $1 million.
That's correct.
Do you think this interview do you think Belichick's job is on the line when he sits down with Michael Strahan Friday on Good Morning America? I'm very serious. Do you think Bill Belichick's job is on the line Friday when he sits down with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
So you
I
don't.
don't.
So you don't think if the interview goes as well as it did on the CBS Sunday morning or Saturday morning, wherever it aired show, if people come out of the interview Friday going, what a train wreck, you think he's still the coach opening night?
I do.
Okay.
Do you?
No. I think if it goes as poorly, no, I don't. I don't. And, listen, I'm a sucker. I love my diva wide receivers, the whole deal. I still think he should be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry. I still think there were teams who should have hired him a year ago. I don't care about the girlfriend. And I know he wants a say in personnel. I just say to him, Bill, your record the last 5 years of personnel sucked. There aren't many job offers for you. You want to be a head coach here or not? Yes or no? I'm handling personnel. You can yell at me every day as much as you want. You don't have final say on personnel. You want the job, yes or no?
So Belichick was Strahan on Friday. Belichick spoke yesterday at the ACC meetings. He addressed the girlfriend in his first interview. And then
Jordan Hudson does not have anything to do with North Carolina football, unquote, Mark.
and then in an interview with WRAL would not mention her and said so before the interview. And the WRAL reporter began the interview by saying, we're going to air this interview uninterrupted, and we will not.
Right. We've been asked not to bring up Jordan Hudson, okay, by Bill Belichick and North Carolina folks. We will honor their request. Bill, nice to talk to you. How are you? And they did, and they aired the whole thing, disclaimer, and then the interview in its entirety.
And North Carolina and Bill can't do a damn thing about that now.
Nope.
2-3 weeks ago, they might have been able to, David.
Right.
Timing.
There you go. That's why I just wondered, how important is this interview Friday? This is national. It's national. Okay. Clips are going to be taken, and it's early enough that the whole talking head machine on Fox and on ESPN can grab the quotes and run with them.
So you did bring up the buyout. People have been wondering if Belichick will be the coach of North Carolina after June 1st, because the buyout goes from $10 million to $1 million on June 1st. Miller and Moulton. Miss any of the show, go to millerandmoulton.com. You can download what you missed there or any place that you get your podcasts. If you missed any of the show already, we had Ron Blum on earlier this hour. Christopher Powers will talk to PGA with us at the top of the hour. Seth Everett will also join us in the 8 o'clock hour, and we'll start getting ready for the Leafs and the Panthers. A big Game 5. Nobody better to talk to it about than John Forslund. He'll join us at 9 a.m. For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from that fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American-made, at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You know, I got a text. I don't know if there's someone that texts the show or is in the Twitch chat room, but this is pretty funny. A question popped in my head while watching the Stars-Jets game last night. Why didn't the team get renamed from the North Stars to the Lone Stars? That's a pretty good.
That's good.
That's pretty solid.
That's a good question. That's really good. I remember when that was going down too, and then moving. I never thought of that. Knicks and Irish football, or ambient and Irish football. Here's the part why I don't think you're going to win the series now. You can't have Jokic and Murray score 72 points and lose. And I know your third wheel didn't show up, but come on. They did the work of 3 players. And you played with the lead most of the night. Sorry, Sonny. The other thing is that 5 o'clock yesterday, I don't know how many people realized that, let's just say the votes were in his favor. You're still, we're going to have to wait 2.5 years. Well, Irish, you can if you're JJ Redick. But
Jokic was 4 of 6 in the fourth quarter. The rest of the team was 1 of 12.
And OKC's complementary parts helped SGA out down the stretch, and yours didn't help Jokic out.
All set.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home in the 239 and the 904 for not just the show, but the week. It's the final hour of the show in Live Oak, Lake City and surrounding areas, Venice, Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Thanks so much for being with us on this hump day. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Thrilled to welcome back Christopher Powers to the show. He covers golf for Golf Digest. He also is part of the Loop podcast at Go to the Loop, by the way, on X. Follow Christopher on X at CPowers14. CPowers14. Christopher, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Boys, all good. Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
Well, we are fine. Listen, if we offered you the 822 group off the back nine tomorrow, Rory, Scotty, and Xander, or the field, who would you take?
Well, personally, the guy I like this week is not among that group, so I would take field.
What is it about this course that will make it the most difficult this week, or the fact that we're going to have the rains that we've had, softening up these greens? These guys are going to be hitting longer irons than we're used to seeing into greens, but with soft greens, they should hold. Is the course going to be harder than normal, easier than normal, or the same with the weather conditions we've had?
I would probably lean towards the same. Look, the rough will certainly be long. It's always long at Quail Hollow. It'll be extra long this week with all the rain, and obviously the PGA likes it to be a little bit longer. That's kind of the identity they've gone with these last few years. You mentioned the soft greens. I've heard, I think it was Jordan Spieth said they were still pretty firm the other day, but again, more rain yesterday. There'll be plenty of moisture in them. They will be able to hold. I think we'll see some lower scores probably on Thursday with the easier setup. And then as the week progresses, as is the case at most majors, it'll get a little bit harder each day. You didn't ask for winning score in terms of winning score. I mean, this place still always plays tough, even when the PGA Tour is here. So hopefully we're in like the 15, 16 under range like we were at Philly Cricket last week. But again, to your question, I would say I'm not sure how hard it's going to play. They're going to make it long. The long hitters will have a huge advantage. You still got to be pretty straight though here. You don't want to be hacking out of that rough all day. So I would think that the big boys are going to rise to the top this week.
By the way, that's a pretty bold statement. I don't know if you realized it right off the top. To pick someone not named Rory or Scotty this week, I mean, that's almost, not quite, but that's like almost going against Tiger in the early 2000s. Who you got in mind?
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound that bold when you hear the name, but it is bold when you put it that way. And to me, it's Bryson DeChambeau coming off the performance at the Masters. I know he struggled a little bit with his irons on Sunday, but then he goes and picks up a live win. Nice little confidence booster, finished strong there in Korea. We're talking about you got to hit it extremely far this week. I know Rory is an all-time driver of the golf ball, but Bryson DeChambeau might be the only guy who drives it better than him. And I think he'll hit it the longest this week. He'll have the shortest clubs in. And if I know Bryson, I have to imagine all he's been doing since that Sunday at Augusta National is sharpening his iron play. So I think if he just has an average week with his irons, he's an incredible putter. He's putted very well at Quail Hollow in his 2 appearances there. The driver is as reliable as it's ever been for him. So I think it's going to be Bryson this week.
I think your point about his putting and really the putting this week, we talked about this yesterday, that the greens in theory should be a tiny bit slower because of all the wetness. They'll be smooth. I mean, I would expect to see a great putting week at the PGA. Am I out of a line saying that?
No, absolutely not. I think you might even see some guys who aren't very good putters with the soft greens that might have a better week. A guy that jumps to mind instantly for that is Corey Connors, who's incredibly accurate off the tee, unbelievable long iron player. You mentioned that before. There's going to be some long iron shots in. And then the slower greens should kind of play in his favor. Maybe he can make a few more putts, be a little more aggressive with them. So a guy like that, I know I'm talking a lot about length, but a guy like Corey Connors, who's very accurate and good with his long irons, could play very well this week.
Christopher Powers, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. The PGA historically has had a lot of first-time major winners. We're in a little bit of a run here where we've had former major champions that are winning the majors. Okay, curious, is there a first-time guy that you like?
That's a good question. I know we had Taylor Zarzor on our show the other day, Sirius XM, and he actually gave a pretty good name who finally turned a corner recently and would be a first-time major winner, and that's Sam Burns, Southern guy. It's Bermuda grass this week. The problem with that is he's had such a poor year and just one good start recently. I'm not so sure he's ready to win a major yet. I would go to the guy who won last week, Seth Straka, who has been playing incredible golf for about 2 years now. And now he's firmly in the Ryder Cup conversation. I believe he's top 6. What a huge confidence boost that must have been Sunday, getting those Ryder Cup points. I liked him at the Masters. He had a terrible Thursday and then came back very strong on Friday. Wasn't enough to make the cut, but he's kind of ready. He's already contended in majors. I think he's got a pair of top 10s, one at the Open and I believe at either the U.S. Open or the PGA. So if you're talking first-time major winner this week that I think can actually do it, I would go with the guy who won the Truist in Seth Straka.
What about the guy that finished T2 and kind of fell apart down the stretch, not making any putts? Shane Lowry's hitting the ball very well. When you made the point about guys that aren't great putters, maybe having a good putting week, I thought you were going to mention Shane Lowry. I think his ball striking's been terrific. The putter let him down a little bit last week. If that's better, he should be in contention, shouldn't he?
100%. And again, we're talking about, he might not be the longest hitter in the world, but unbelievably straight, unbelievable driver of the golf ball. And you talk about a big predictor of major success. It's recent major success, and Shane Lowry has that, in buckets. He had 2 top 6s last year, one at this event, the PGA, one at the Open Championship. He's obviously won an Open in the past. He's got all sorts of top 10s on his Wikipedia page if you go and take a look. And he plays well in harder events like this one. So, and he's had a great year. He's been in contention a lot. So, yeah, I like Shane Lowry a lot as well this week.
And he was kind of sort of in it at the Masters. Keep Shane Lowry in mind if you don't like him this week. He had the lead final round of the U.S. Open the last time it was at Oakmont. He had a 3-shot lead on DJ. Wasn't ready to win a major yet. Faltered. DJ was. He won it. But if you don't like Shane Lowry this week, keep him in mind in a month when they go to Oakmont. Christopher Powers, Golf Digest, the Loop podcast. Follow him on X at CPowers14. Are you surprised at what a terrific year that golf is having, coming off of what most everyone agreed was a down year last year? Despite the major winners, ratings were down, attendance was down. Do we have enough money in the sport, sponsorship problems? Are you surprised, Christopher, at what a terrific 4.5 months it's been?
It has been incredible, and I've actually given this a lot of thought. When Bryson DeChambeau won the U.S. Open last year, that was obviously a huge week for golf as a whole, but it felt like a major win for LIV and kind of a huge shift in where these negotiations were going. And, like you said, in just 4 short months, this year, it seems like the narrative has completely shifted to the PGA Tour is kind of on the ascent. And I think Rory McIlroy winning the Masters is a big part of that. That kind of really changed the narrative, especially beating Bryson DeChambeau in the way he did. If Bryson wins that Masters, I think we're having a very different conversation right now. Rory wins it, career Grand Slam winner, all the momentum for the PGA Tour. The signature events, say what you want about them, have been really good. Great finishes down the stretch. Harbour Town was amazing with Justin Thomas. Some great winners this year. You mentioned the ratings. The ratings have been great. Golf's as hot as it's ever been right now, obviously. So, yeah, it has been incredible to watch the narrative shift over the last couple months.
We were talking earlier that Keegan Bradley has included Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau in a lot of these lunches as we get towards the Ryder Cup. One name that from LIV has not been there, and we expect him to play really well this week, and we know no one likes him, and we know why. But Patrick Reed can still play. He's playing better than Koepka right now. His stats at a course like Quail Hollow are pretty damn good. If Patrick Reed turns in a couple of good major performances, not winning, just good major performances, do you think he has a shot at the Ryder Cup team?
Ben, you're preaching the choir here. I love Patrick Reed this week. I was kind of taken aback yesterday. I mean, not taken aback, but when I heard Keegan say that, obviously Reed has not made any friends that might be on that team. So getting invited to that dinner was probably always out of the question for him. But given his track record in the Ryder Cup, the fact he just finished solo third, and I know, he missed the putt on, I think it was 13. Who knows how that tournament goes, but you have to think if he makes that eagle putt on 13, he might be in the playoff with Justin Rose and Rory. And now he comes to Quail Hollow, where he finished T2 in 2017. He's had a good track record. Again, like you said, he plays really well this week. Another top 5 in a major, and he's not going to get invited to a pre-Ryder Cup dinner. Brooks Koepka hasn't had a top 10 in a major since he won the PGA Championship at Oak Hill, and that's not exactly last year now. That's a couple of years ago now. So obviously Bryson belongs at that dinner. Koepka, I'm not so sure what he's done to earn that invitation. Reed absolutely should have earned an invitation, but again, hasn't made many friends. Like you said, though, a lot of Ryder Cup points on the line this week. I know he's very far back in the standings. He's going to have to earn it basically by top 5ing in every single major. He's already done it at the Masters, does it again this week, and I think the conversation is going to have to start. He's not going to earn a captain's pick, that's the thing, unless, again, he top 5s at every major and somehow finishes just outside the automatic qualifiers. But again, he plays well this week. I think the conversation's gonna get pretty real with him.
Christopher Powers, Golf Digest, the Loop Podcast. Follow him on X at CPowers14. The letter C, Powers14. Christopher, enjoy your work. Thanks so much for your contribution to the show and for getting up at this hour. And have a great week in Charlotte. And hopefully we can do this again before Oakmont.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Christopher Powers, Golf Digest, the Loop Podcast, here on Miller and Moulton.
I didn't, ran out of time. I want to know, there's a course in northern Michigan called the Loop, and it's rated one of the most fun golf courses in the country because you can play it every other day. They switch the way you play it. You play front to back one day, and then you play back to front the next.
Huh. Wow.
And, the On the Loop podcast, guy like that, you would think maybe he's played the Loop. It's on my bucket list of golf courses. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to nolanagency.com. That's 941-639-1122 or nolanagency.com.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Basketball's heating up the hardwood. What a great time to stop in at the Floor Meisters and look at their hardwood. A large selection to choose from, including Mirage hardwood flooring. Floor Meisters has a look and style you want. Mirage wood is grown and made in Canada from the finest quality wood flooring you'll find. And while you're in, ask to see the Petite Enfant collection. 5 custom colors made only for the Floor Meisters. So good it has a 35-year warranty. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard, next to Costco, or floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Guys, come on now. I know, Sled Puppy, you think that you know sports. Any game that the Denver Broncos play is an easy win, okay? They're going 16-0 and they're winning the Super Bowl. Stop it, guys. You all know better. That's right. I'm sorry, 17-0. 17-0. They'll beat everybody probably by 20 to 30 points. It'll probably be a lot like the Patriots' undefeated season. That's my prediction.
Yes, Kurt Becker, Friday, Preakness. Locked and loaded. I have no idea who's going to be on the show tomorrow. I got Fridays all lined up. It's funny how things work.
And Sonny, we get it. You love Pete Rose. You seem to not understand that he broke the number one rule in baseball. You keep writing about all the great, and I love Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall too. But you seem to neglect that he bet on baseball, and that baseball players kind of take that as a bad thing. I couldn't care less about the Preakness now. It's a joke. If they're not going to run the Derby winner, then change the whole system. The whole system.
I actually think, and we'll get into it with Kurt Becker, I actually think it now needs to be mandatory. Okay. Here's the deal.
You can't mandate. They're independent contractors.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. This is the very last time that we can use some iteration of this poll question, so we did it. Now that Pete Rose and others, but now that Pete Rose has been reinstated, do you think he will ever get in the Hall of Fame? Not whether or not you'd vote for him. All right. We are asking you to predict the future. Do you think Pete Rose will now get into the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? Mark is a no. I'm a yes, but not before 2050. But I do think it will happen. And quite frankly, it could be like Shoeless Joe. Like, I think Shoeless Joe is going to get in. I don't know if Shoeless Joe is going to get in December 27, but I think Shoeless Joe gets in before Pete Rose. But think about that. He's going to get in how many years after he played? How many years after he died? I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say the same thing could happen to Pete.
It's not unreasonable. I just agree to disagree with you on that. I don't think that he ever gets in. I can tell you that our audience largely doesn't care.
No, and they never
The
have.
vote is very, very low. And this is actually topical. We're not just revamping the oldest question in sports history to get through a show. We don't need it today. We don't.
No, the sports world is delivering. It's as good a regular season night of baseball, quite frankly, as has ever been played. We had 5 walk-offs last night. And that was with 2 rainouts involving 2 teams who have an 8 and 9 game winning streak. I mean, we had 5 walk-offs. Had remarkable comebacks. We had 3 grand slams. I mean, Javi Baez, who had already hit a 3-run homer, hits a second one to walk off the Tigers.
I mean, that game was 1-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-3 Boston, 6-4 Detroit, 6-6, 7-6, 7-7, 9-7, 10-9. It was a remarkable baseball game. It was a lot of fun.
But Seattle walked off the Yankees. Detroit walked off Boston. White Sox won in extra innings against the Reds. San Diego walked off the Angels in the 9th. Tatis
With Tatis hitting the home run. Right.
I mean, just a tremendous night of baseball. Obviously, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, and especially when the fourth quarter began last night of Denver and Oklahoma City. Remember, this is the NBA. This is not the NCAA tournament. This is not hockey, where, quite frankly, I don't know if any of the 4 first-place teams are going to even make it to the conference final. Winnipeg's down 3-1. Washington's down 3-1. Vegas is down 3-1. And Toronto's 2-2 with Florida. I mean, there's a chance none of the first-place teams even make it to the conference finals in hockey. That happens
more often than, not more often, but it happens in hockey.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah. And we all know why.
And they seed through divisions, so it's a little bit different than how basketball is done 1 through 8 by conference.
But we're a Knicks win away in the next week from 3 versus 4 in the conference final in the East. It's the NBA. This blank doesn't happen.
Their sport since the 70s to ensure this doesn't happen.
And we're a Knicks win away against Boston without Jason Tatum. 1 out of 3, and it's Knicks Pacers 3 versus 4 in the conference final. And we're going to have the Timberwolves as the 6th seed. And when Denver had an 8-point lead early in the 4th, I'm like, are we going to have 4 versus 6 and 3 versus 4 in the NBA conference finals?
But unfortunately for Denver, the best player in the game did everything he could do in the fourth quarter, shot 4 for 6, would have had many more assists, but his teammates failed miserably. His team was 1 of 12 in the fourth quarter. By the way, looking back, I'm watching that Cleveland Pacers game. And it's close. And Cleveland now is fought after losing the lead. They're fighting back.
Right.
Mitchell gets fouled on a 3-pointer. This is one of the best players in the game.
Yeah.
He misses all 3 free throws. I don't know if I've ever seen that out of an elite player before.
Well, and I feel very badly for the Cavs because coming into this season, what is it that had been said about the Cavs the last 2 years? They're soft. I mean, which would you rather be called, chokers or soft? As far as, okay, seriously, the 2 worst things.
David, those are the 2 worst things you could say to me as an athlete. I choke or I'm soft.
Right. So
I can't give you an answer. Those are the 2 most horrible things you could say to an athlete. You're soft or you choke.
Yeah. And the Pacers all but said it out loud, by the way, that the Cavs are soft. I mean, they did. And by the way, we got to start talking about Rick Carlisle as a coach a little bit more. NBA champion. He's taken the Pacers to the conference finals in back-to-back years. Just saying. I don't know, outside of the first round series against Milwaukee this year, I don't think he's had home court in a series yet. They just went 3-0 in Cleveland. He took
and there's not much of a bench on this team. This is 5 guys. If you look at the minutes and the points, they're 5 guys.
Yeah, they got they'll go Obi Toppin for 25 minutes, and they got one. They go 7 pretty hard. But that's the other thing, Mark, that this playoffs has shown. Okay, and that's why it'll be very interesting if you're Oklahoma City. This playoffs has shown basically the NBA come playoff time, you go 7. Maybe you kind of work in an 8th, foul trouble, just give guy a little rest. But it's basically a 7-man team.
I mean, they had 5 guys with all over 33 minutes last night.
Right.
I mean,
I understand, but
Oklahoma City's another, I get it, but when everybody's talking, and we were talking earlier, Giannis for Cooper Flag, which they're not going to do in Dallas. You need to have 5 guys that can score. It can't be 3. It can't be 2. Denver proved that last night. They had 2 guys light it up. They couldn't get points out of anybody else. What, Porter missed 3 consecutive threes in the fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm.
Can't happen.
Nope. But so the Pacers are waiting, and it could be, I mean, I can just tell you, and yes, I grew up a New York sports fan, Mets, Giants, Rangers, Knicks. But, they're already writing that this is 2000 all over again. Mets, Yankees, World Series, Knicks, Pacers, Eastern Finals, which the Pacers finally won to go to the finals for the first time and only time.
Celtics, Knicks tonight with no Tatum. The Celtics are still a 4.5-point favorite.
I got to admit, Jason Tatum's only worth, they were 6.5 at Madison Square. You and I don't think, home court means diddly anymore. Knicks are 5-0 on the road, for goodness sake, in these playoffs. But, so what do you think the Celtics would beat tonight with Tatum? How many points? 8.5?
Right. Does that go from 4.5 to 13 then?
Right. I'm looking at it going, well, right. Just Jason Tatum. He's got to be worth 8 points, right? There's Jason Tatum. He's the best player on the best team in the East. But yes. Oh, by the way, and I know we're up against it here, Rick Carlisle mentioned the spread in the postgame. Looked right into the camera and said, we were a 5.5-point or more underdog in every game we played in this series. Trust me, we were aware of it. Tell me they're not paying attention.
David, they always have, and they always will. Seth Everett, he's next.
Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
This
sound.
is Miller and Moulton.
Hi, Seth.
Hey there.
How are you?
What's going on?
You know, a little this, a little that.
How's the lighting?
It's fine.
It's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to turn the light on. I like the natural light, but I got to figure something out for here. I heard a funny joke on a podcast this morning.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm just sending a text.
A guy was looking on social media. One of the hosts of a podcast was looking on social media and he saw a video pop out, whether it was Instagram or TikTok or one of those things. And he saw that you can put coffee grounds into plants.
Right.
And it's actually good for them. So rather than throw it in the garbage, it's good for them.
Right.
But not all. So there's a flower bed at his apartment. His wife has a flower bed. And he's been putting coffee grounds in there because he saw something on social media and he killed all the flowers. and his wife comes in and goes, Why, what happened to the flowers? I've been watering them every day. How did they die like this? And he goes, Oh, I've been putting coffee grounds. Oh my God, I was cracking up. That made me laugh.
I'm glad.
That sucks about Jason Tatum.
Yeah,
it really does.
Awful.
Just shitty part of sports.
Yep. Biggest win that franchise has had in 25 years, and it took 80% of the wind out of my sails watching it. I'm like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, I mean, I just read about it the next morning, but he's very dedicated. Like, there's nothing wrong with him.
No, great guy. Great player.
Seems like it. Yeah. And he's out all next year.
Oh, it's going to be, it's going to be really hard to.
He'd have to make an amazing recovery just to make the playoffs.
Remember when Durant in the finals against Toronto, that was a June Achilles? There was talk that he and the Nets played it safe and said no, but there was.
Yeah, you remember at the end of the year?
Yep, that we could maybe, and so this happened early May. If the Celtics, we go a full year, does he try to play in the playoffs next year?
Maybe. It'll be a debate.
Yep.
The debate in Boston, by the way, that I think is insane is Rafael Devers. If you want to talk about that, that's insane. Just play first base. What the hell's the matter with you? You prima donna.
You know, Seth, 30+ million a year just doesn't get you what it used to.
I could. When Casas got hurt, I was on in Boston. I was on WBZ, and I said to the producer, I just said, "Oh, Devers." Like as soon as I saw that it was that he was out for the year, I said, "Devers can play first base. It's perfect." I was like, I'd buy him a first baseman glove.
Yeah.
Come
ground
on.
balls for, and it's not easy. I mean, you know.
No. I'm not saying it is. I'm not belittling it. What I'm saying is, do it. You're a teammate.
Totally.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. John Forslund will join us at the top of the hour, by the way. Talk a little hockey. Game 5. Panthers Leafs tonight, at the very least. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our friend Seth Everett, kind enough to join us once again. Sports with Friends Hall of Justice, his 2 terrific award-winning podcasts. You can follow Seth on X at Seth_Everett, Seth_Everett. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. That Panthers Leafs game is going to be great.
Well, okay, we can have a debate. Mark is saying, Moulton, you're sleeping on the Canes. Moulton, you're sleeping on the Canes. I think the Leafs and Panthers are playing a sport that looks totally different from the rest of the league.
Yeah. That Panthers game 5 should be great. I don't have a horse in the race, but the Carolina just has outclassed Washington. They've been all over Washington.
Nobody plays better team defense in the National Hockey League than the Carolina Hurricanes. They are the New Jersey Devils of the 90s. Yeah. They muck up the neutral zone. They force you to dump and chase. They like to play 2-1 hockey games, and they are a hard out for anybody. Yeah. I think Florida has a far better chance to dominate against Carolina because they have no problem playing the dump and chase game and then going to run your defenseman. But if Toronto wins this series, they're a team that likes to possess the puck into the zone. It's really difficult to do that through the neutral zone against Carolina. I'm just telling. And by the way, what goaltender right now is playing better than the Hurricanes goaltender in the playoffs? Yeah. I'll wait for an answer.
Well, and then Carolina's penalty kill is just like
it's the best in the league.
When they commit a penalty, they're like, so what?
So a little hockey preview before John Forslund in
that's a good
20+ minutes. Okay, we've been talking about this for a year and a half. It finally happened. Was it yesterday? ESPN announces their streaming service, $30, $29.99, $30 a month. We all wondered what would the price point be.
Yep.
Early reaction to ESPN's announcement.
Well, as a consumer, I have to look at it as a consumer because I'm considering it. I want to get rid of Hulu Live. I've been telling you guys that Hulu Live bothers me, and supposedly, 85 to 90% of the teams that I like are on ESPN or ESPN Plus. The difference is that on the ESPN app currently, if a game, for example, if I wanted to watch the Monday Night Football game that's not on ESPN Plus, the authentication is through my Hulu Live. So even though I never touch Hulu Live, I watch Hulu Live because I'm doing it through my ESPN thing. Now, if you do the numbers, I pay $75 a month for Hulu Live, and I don't use it. But if I could pay $29 for ESPN, and that app no longer needs authentication, am I making out? And the only thing I lose are the occasional time Syracuse is on the CW, and the occasional time Arsenal is on the USA Network. That is literally my dilemma this summer.
If I'm not mistaken, Seth, if you get Peacock, you would get all your Do you
Not
get all
all.
the USA stuff or no?
Not all.
Okay.
What Peacock's deal with the Premier League is they handpick 2 games that they put either on NBC, the NBC station or the USA Network, and they're not on Peacock, and that's the issue.
Okay, but if you're getting 85 to 90% of what you want for $30 a month, as opposed to spending 75, I mean, do the math. That's a win.
It's a win, right? It's a win. What I'm wondering is, how can I finagle the system so that when Syracuse plays Boston College on a Saturday afternoon in October, I can see Tom Wormy on the CW.
I didn't want to go talk about Seth Everett's viewing habits. This is
I understand that.
This is a big story. If this is going to work or not, and then obviously, since they are in many ways the leaders, others are going to follow and come up with their price point.
Right, but the reason I'm bringing up my thing is because I am the prototypical cord cutter. The issue for the cord cutter is if this is something that you felt you need. If you are a cord cutter that doesn't have YouTube TV or Hulu Live or Fubo or any of those, there's no reason for you to pay the $29. Not if you already pay the $9 for ESPN Plus and get almost all of their stuff anyway.
Well, no, you don't. You don't get any of the ESPN or the ESPN2 stuff or ESPNU stuff.
Again, I'm only talking about games because if you're paying $29 a month for Stephen A. Smith, you get your head examined.
No, I understand, but because I'm right there with you, Seth. I
could care less about any of the other stuff.
I'm a YouTube TV guy. I also have the Max app, which covers all of my Turner stations to watch the baseball game that I watched last night, to watch the basketball game that I watched last night.
Correct.
And I'm right with you, because the one thing I don't have with YouTube TV, and I have not yet paid for, is the FanDuel network for Florida, which allows me to watch Heat, Marlins, and all the teams in Florida we already know. But $20 for that, $30 for ESPN.
If the only way you would do it is if you drop YouTube TV. To me, the only demographic for this are people that have the YouTube TVs, the Hulu Lives, whatever the equivalence of what cable was. And also, don't forget, ESPN is not taking the cable money. So for all the people listening to your show that still have cable, just keep it. You'll get everything. Because if you have a cable subscription, you get this ESPN app. You don't have to pay for it.
Trust me, I know. I'm one of the few who hasn't cut the cord. You mentioned YouTube. Interesting announcement in which the second NFL game this year, the Chiefs and Chargers in Brazil, is not going to be on YouTube TV, Mark, right? It's going to be on YouTube.
On YouTube.
It's on regular YouTube, right. So my cat videos will come up in the commercials.
But this is interesting. I mean, first off, it's kind of curious, how do you make any money on this? But except for the advertising, I guess.
Still ads.
Yeah, but they won't make the money back that they're paying to get the game. Trust me, they're paying over $100 million for the game.
This is an exposure thing. This is something that they want to sit here and say you can introduce yourself to the service. Not everybody downloaded YouTube, regular YouTube, to an Apple TV or a Roku. Nobody, unless you are 20 or younger, you didn't do that.
Well,
right? Now I will.
I get what you're saying, but I'm obviously a lot older than that and have it. And it's the way I get my highlights for those late games when I get up at the 4 a.m. I'm watching Edmonton and Vegas and give me
exception
highlight thing on YouTube, which is great. But to me, Seth, what I don't get about the YouTube game, I get exposure. But how is putting a game on YouTube helping to expose YouTube TV? Because you would think they're doing this to try to get the cable guy to cut the cord.
I want YouTube TV. I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out where YouTube falls in that, Seth.
Well, what I want to understand is how is this game being broadcast? They say they're just putting it on regular YouTube. I read everything that you read. What I'm saying is when it happens in the fall, let's see what the practical application is. What do you need to download? Do you need to sign in? Do you have to have an account? Those kind of things.
Well, and behind the curtain, I'm curious also, what network are they going to borrow everybody's personnel from to do the game? Because it's not like they're going to go out and hire a bunch of people to do one game. So basically, they're going to have to make a deal with Fox, CBS, or NBC to do this game. And my guess is it won't be NBC because they got Thursday night and Sunday night to worry about. So my guess is they're going to be borrowing from Fox or CBS to do the game.
The interesting thing that didn't get announced with this ESPN app was the acquisition of NFL Media. And the NFL Red Zone is not on the ESPN app.
Well,
not for this season.
It's not official yet, is my understanding.
Correct.
Yeah.
But this week would have been the week I would have thought that was coming. I thought that was getting announced. And, the best was all the, the sports business articles saying ESPN has its name for its service. It's called ESPN. Really?
Right. Exactly. What else were they going to name it? Was interesting, though, and Mark brought this up yesterday. It's another reason why we all thought the announcement that you thought would come is ESPN, at least streaming, is going to be airing the Rich Eisen show.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And obviously, and they, in their release, they were like, hey, they called him an ESPN icon, by the way, in their release. He worked for him for 7 years.
I know.
I mean, they called him an ESPN icon.
I know. And that hurts my old friends at Fox Sports Radio because he's going off there. I know everybody talks about what TV channel he's been on, but the reality is that's been on Fox stations for years. I mean, multiple tens of years.
Yes, because he's been doing the show since 2003. So, Seth Everett, Sports with Friends Hall of Justice. Follow him on X at Seth_Everett.
Seth, we get to ask you this for the last time because it is now topical. Manfred yesterday lifted the ban on all the dead guys, including Pete Rose.
He cowered.
Does Pete
Manfred is
ever?
a weenie.
I know you think that. Does Pete ever get in the Hall of Fame, though?
He might. I think he might because it's a veterans committee. It's only like 8 people that need to be convinced. It's
16. He needs 12 of 16 votes on the classic baseball era committee.
Right. And what I also think this does is it opens up the possibilities of Bonds and A-Rod and those guys too.
Well, it's interesting. I believe the first committee that Bonds and Clemens were just voted on in December. It was like first year, no longer on the ballot. They came up on committee, and none of them got more than 4 votes.
Right.
And they need 12.
Right.
Now, remember, they left the ballot.
The context. It changes. Peter Gammons, I reached out to Peter Gammons. I'm going to try to put him on Sports with Friends this summer, and we're going to talk about that because I think the committee changes its perspective. If you vote Pete in, you vote. What did Pete do that Bonds didn't do? Or what did Bonds do that Pete didn't do?
No, I mean, I think many people think what Pete did was worse.
No, I understand that, but you could argue.
But your point, Seth, if they vote Pete in, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it helps Bonds and A-Rod and who else? McGuire.
I think Bonds and/or Clemens go in before Rose. Amongst those committees, I think they have a better chance of getting 12 before Pete.
I don't know. Look, he cowered. The whole thing is just silly. Do you see John Dowd? There's a great article. John Dowd was interviewed, I want to say in The Athletic, and he just said it's lawlessness.
Okay, hold on. Okay, first off, what did he do? Okay, while he was alive, okay, he kept a lifetime ban. The Rose family, okay, his son, Pete Jr., did on behalf of the family after he died say, hey, will you do this? Okay, what is cowardly about what he did?
No, not coward. He cowered.
Cowed. Okay, yeah.
Trump said it, and Manfred did it.
Well, but Seth, you could also say a lifetime ban's a lifetime ban. He's dead. I'm lifting the ban.
That's fine.
Well, but I mean,
Trump doesn't say it. If Trump doesn't say it, it's never happens.
I disagree.
That I agree with.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
But Tim Kirchin agrees with the two of you. Tim Kirchin just said, if the president of the United States didn't get involved, this doesn't happen.
Yep.
There's not a doubt in my mind on that. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice. What do you got, Seth?
If you loved baseball managers the way I loved baseball managers, Scott Miller has a new book out. Scott Miller, the longtime CBS sports guy, on Skipper. It's called Skipper, Why Managers Matter and Always Will. And what he talks about in grand detail is the evolution from Earl Weaver to Sparky Anderson to Tom Kelly to Cito Gaston to Dusty Baker to Lou Piniella to today's manager. And he spends a day, there's a 2-chapter thing on Dave Roberts and what Dave Roberts does today versus what those guys did. The evolution of the manager, the position has been diminished. And it was just weird because as we recorded this podcast, Bud Black was fired. Bud Black, that was a mercy firing. That's 3 consecutive 100-loss seasons, 7 consecutive losing seasons, and Charlie Monfort is on the negotiating committee for the union for the CBA next year. It was a fascinating podcast.
Okay.
Hall of Justice is Andor, the great show Andor. It had its finale last night. I was up till 1 a.m. watching it, and we'll have the review come out tomorrow.
The great show Andor.
It's the best Star Wars thing since Empire.
I wanted you to get out what Andor was because I had no idea.
It's a show. It's a show that Tony Gilroy made with Diego Luna. It's just it's brilliance. Brilliant.
We love when you bring up the name of shows and the name of people that Miller and Moulton have no idea what you're talking about. I absolutely love it. It's why he's on the show. Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice,
friends everywhere,
expanding our horizons, reluctantly at times. Follow Seth on X at Seth_Everett. Seth_Everett. All the
Raphael Devers play first base.
Yeah, no kidding.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor. A neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. I feel tired, sluggish, and just not myself. I'm gaining weight, my energy is low, and I've lost my drive. Could it be low testosterone?
Absolutely. Testosterone naturally declines over time, but you don't have to accept it. Low T can affect your energy, strength, mood, and focus. But here's the good news. Testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, can help restore your vitality and get you back to feeling your best. Imagine waking up strong, sharp, and energized, ready to take on the day like you used to. At Revitalize Clinic, we specialize in physician-guided, American-made TRT designed just for you.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. Feel like yourself again. Testosterone replacement therapy, because your best years aren't behind you, they're just getting started. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Yeah, Canada relief. We've talked Javi Baez a couple times. Just, did not deserve to be in the major leagues, but was only there because his contract was so big the last couple of years, and the Tigers couldn't afford to get rid of him. And so they kept him and put him in center field reluctantly this year and batted him ninth and just hoped he didn't suck. And what's he hitting, like 320?
Yeah, he's got to be after last night.
2 3-run homers last night, including a game winner. Fam, where was the concert?
Good for you. Good for you.
Cool. Sonny Seth's the most optimistic of the three of us. I think the steroid guys have to get in before Pete gets in. So it's going to take a while. And the reason I say that is because behind closed doors, it could go, a lot of people were doing steroids. I mean, as much as 40% of the league was doing steroids, reportedly. Nobody was gambling on baseball. So that's why what Pete did is going to be viewed as worse. Whether you think so or not. To me, Sonny, the guy, if a steroid guy is going to get in first, I think it's going to be Bonds.
It's not Manny Ramirez.
No.
Come on.
Yeah, CBW does. It's a fan. I don't think so, Sonny. Sonny, I believe that Bonds and Clemens will ultimately get in because people will conclude they were Hall of Famers before they started cheating. And we pretty much know when they started using the steroids. And you could say that their career was a Hall of Fame career before they took it to the next level. The problem with Manny is we don't know when he started. So how much of his numbers are legit? It's the same with A-Rod. A-Rod, I don't think ever gets in because there's evidence he even admitted he used when he was in Texas. So. No, Canada relief. Come on.
John's on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. Thanks so much for being with us in the 239 and the 904. Last time we can have this poll question, now that Pete Rose has been reinstated, do you think he will ever get in the Hall of Fame? Not your vote, but try to predict the future. Do you think it will happen for him now that he's been reinstated, yay or nay, and vote accordingly? Thrilled to welcome back John Forslund, the outstanding play-by-play voice of the Seattle Kraken. He does the NHL on TNT. He also does Sports USA Radio Network, which carries most of the playoffs. You can follow John on X at John Forslund, Forslund. We know your most recent game, I believe, was Game 4, Caps and Canes on radio. But if we can start off, John, by going back to the two scintillating games at Sunrise with 192 hits between the two teams in the two games that you did with Eddie Olchuk. It just seems as if they're playing a different brand of hockey than the rest of the league.
That series and those two games over the weekend, really a pleasure to be part of those and to watch the teams. And the funny thing about it is the way the game is, there's so many things going on and behind the puck, behind the play. I got to stay on the puck, and Eddie and Shane Knighty had the opportunity to see some of the things going on in back of the play. That's more exciting than the play itself. So it's been really a throwback series. It's hard to call. It's hard, and I don't mean to call the game, but it's hard to call who's going to win the series. So as they get back to Toronto tonight, you just flip a coin, and you see from the Maple Leaf side of things their best players and what they have and what they're made of. And I think Toronto's made a big deal all season, and I follow them a lot, especially on Monday nights with Amazon in Canada. That they're different, that they've taken a step as a team to be grittier and to be able to win a series like this. I think tonight will determine a lot of that for them. And for the Panthers, good for them, because there was no panic at all, even after losing the first two games in Toronto. They came home, being around them the morning of Game 3. They had this calmness, this confidence that a champion should have, and they showed that. So it's been one of the best series of them all, the four that remain, in my opinion, and I can't wait to watch the game tonight.
No doubt. And one of the questions I have for you in watching and calling the game, it looks on TV like Tkachuk is still injured from that groin. He does not look like he is skating nearly at the capability he is able to when fully healthy. And I wonder, looking at Game 5, because in Games 3 and 4, as you know, home team has last change. They can manipulate who he was playing against. Now with him on the road, how much of an advantage is that for Toronto to try to get the line matchups to take advantage of the fact that he's not skating as well as he can?
Yeah, that's a good point. And certainly the way the series has played out, that's been a difference, especially for Paul Maurice at home to shift. I would say midway through Game 3, he's been going Barkov versus Matthews a lot, and did that in Toronto. Of course, he couldn't dictate that on the road, but at home he started that way in that game. Halfway through, it became Anton Lundell and his line mates with Losterinen and Marchand. They were given the opportunity at 5-on-5 to play against Matthews and Matthew Nyes and Mitch Marner. They did a great job. We'll see if that changes tonight. We'll see the Tkachuk factor and where that's at. We'll see, any carryover angst. Usually when things are said and there's pushing and shoving and there's a borderline dirty hit by Domi on Barkov at the end of the game at the horn, people might expect that to blow up early in the game tonight. I don't think so. Usually the stakes are too high. It's a 2 out of 3 now. So I think we're going to just see straight hockey from the beginning of the game. But those matchups will be interesting to watch. And I agree with you. Matthew Tkachuk is not 100%. He's a factor, but he's not a going concern every shift. And I think that's what we're used to seeing when he's 100%.
Listen, Austin Matthews is terrific defensively also, and it's not like Barkov is dominating the score sheet when they're on the ice together, but it seems to me as if Barkov's line is creating more offense versus the Austin Matthews line. This is a really big moment for Austin Matthews, isn't it? This is a best of 3 that could define you for years.
Well, there's a lot going on this tonight. That's a good point. I said to a variety of people yesterday in different interviews that, this is the game for Austin Matthews. You have to have your best players, come to the forefront at some point in a series. And he's been a good player, but he's not expected to be a good player. He's expected to be a great player. And you know, and with all due respect to him, when you are matched up against Sasha Barkov, who's the reigning Selke Trophy winner, the league's best defensive forward, it should be a wash. But when you get to Game 5 and you come home, and for the Maple Leafs, again, I get back to a previous point, this is about taking a step as a franchise. I can tell you this: the fan base is done. Like they're going to go crazy tonight if they win. If they lose, I'm not sure, you know, what's going to happen, you know, in terms of their mindset. The Maple Leaf fans, I know if they lose the series, they are done with this group. There's going to be changes. There might be high-level executive changes. There might be a decision made with Mitch Marner where he becomes an unrestricted free agent. There might be they make a decision to keep Marner, move on from somebody like Nylander. They're going to have to do something. Matthews isn't going anywhere, but he can steer the ship tonight. He can take over the game. He can be the best player. He can walk out of that building tonight the first star and then take it back, and where they just have to win one of two. So it is his time. You know, it's been a good playoff. It hasn't been a great playoff for Austin Matthews. There's speculation that he's hurt too, but we always get this in the playoffs, and we never know until it's over exactly the health status of any of these players. But if you're dressed and you're paid accordingly and you're expected to be one of the best players, top 5 player in the league, this is your game tonight.
All right. We didn't talk about Carolina right away, but I do want to bring up the Hurricanes. You worked there for a while. You know this organization pretty well. David and I have been arguing for a week that he is just set that Florida, Toronto's at a whole nother level than Carolina. What I have said is that I don't think there's a team that plays a defensive system better than Carolina. Their neutral zone play reminds me of the Devils in the 90s. It is tough to get the puck through the middle of the ice. Their penalty killing is exceptional, and I don't know if there's a better goalie in the playoffs than the one playing for the Hurricanes right now, John.
Yeah, Mark, you hit all the metrics there for this team. So I knew I was on Game 4 Monday night for Sports USA on the radio side. I knew I was doing it right at the beginning of the series. So you got to watch all these series the way we are today, and I would anyway, but you really have to watch them closely because we jump in and out. We don't have a one series situation like we used to have with NBC. So with TNT and ESPN splitting series and splitting games and day of weeks being determined by the NBA, this is really difficult as an announcer to cover all these series because you can only watch so much and really be entrenched in a specific series. But watching from afar, Carolina play Washington, I was relatively bored, to be honest with you. And I felt like, you know, the 4 series that remain, there's not a lot of angst here between the two teams, certainly not at the physical level of the Florida-Toronto series. Doesn't have the skill attached to Draisaitl and McDavid and what's going on in that series. Doesn't have the Mikko Rantanen presence, Jake Ottinger that we're seeing in Dallas, and the Connor Hellebuck story that's not very good on the road for Winnipeg. This Washington-Carolina thing's kind of generic. And I get in the building. It was great to be back in Raleigh, as always, but I get in the building and call that game, and now I see it with my own 2 eyes. The Hurricanes, to me, are the best team in terms of their 5-on-5 team game before we get to the special teams on how they play. And you're right, they limit time and space through the middle of the ice. They're exceptional that way, but they swarm and they skate better than most of the teams. Rod Brindamore gets his team at a high level of conditioning. You have to be there in order to play this way. This is a demanding style. That's the foundation of it all, is skating, speed, and puck pursuit. And then when you get the puck, you possess it, you wear down the other team, you fling shots from all over the ice. So they are the analytic darling of the National Hockey League. They're always going to be there in terms of possession, shot volume, and all those things that they look at today. But then Frederik Andersen has taken over, and he is the best goalie in the Stanley Cup playoffs right now. He's rolling back the clock in terms of what he was like earlier in his career. He's fought through tremendous injuries. He's 35 now. And he's healthy, and he's becoming a dominant force. Their penalty killing is suffocating. I mean, they make Washington look like one of the worst teams in the NHL with Ovechkin and all the weapons they have, and they had a great year with their power play. They just don't allow you to get any time to set, any time to gain the line and get in the zone and get to your sets. They don't let you run just have an easy time to get in the zone and do that. Washington did have a 5-on-3 power play game and a goal in that game from Ovechkin, but I'll tell you what, Carolina is very impressive. And here's the thing: if they do beat Washington, and if they get it done Thursday, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that, but if they do get it done Thursday, they're going to get time. A rested team that's well conditioned and together, and they look like interchangeable parts, they will rest and let Toronto and Florida bang it out. And if that one goes 7, and just say for argument's purpose that Florida emerges, Florida will take their champions' reputation to the next series and look like they can physically dominate a team like Carolina. But can they, based on all the hockey they've played for 3 years now? You know, at some point, does that become a tiring situation for the Panthers? And could the Hurricanes exploit that? And could they exploit Toronto, too, the same way? Because the Leafs and the Panthers are just going at each other. Somebody's going to be fatigued at some point.
John, literally, we've got like 20 seconds. This Hellebuyck story, I mean, I feel as if he's ruining the Vezina Trophy. This is something, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I said this yesterday in an interview. I've never seen a situation like this. You think about it. You guys follow the game a long time. You love hockey. Think about another situation in the history of the game where a great goalie doesn't perform in the playoffs. Okay, this guy's regular season accord is as good as anybody. He's going to win his 3rd Vezina. You're going to look at all his statistics. You look at his career goals against, save percentage. He's right there with all the greats until you get to the postseason. And you know what? He was pretty good but he didn't get it done in the Four Nations either.
Got about 15 seconds.
Won that situation. So I've never seen anything like this. If we're talking about Waugh and Belfour and Marty Brodeur and all the great goalies, well, they're great goalies because they did it in the regular season and they really did it in the playoffs. And this poor guy right now, this mental situation he's in has got to be excruciating. I've never seen anything like it.
He's John Forslund. We're Miller and Moulton. Southwest Florida's scorching heat is on its way. Stay cool with Air Advantage. As a proud Rheem Pro partner, Air Advantage delivers top-notch air conditioning solutions to keep you cool and comfortable. Right now, enjoy 18 months, no interest, no payments on qualifying systems. Call 433-4635 today for expert installation and unbeatable comfort all summer long. Online at myairadvantage.com. Air Advantage. Call today, 433-4635.
Whether you're chasing peak performance, reigniting intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health creates customized game plans to optimize your health. Call 239-427-3441 for our Bonita Springs and Naples location to set up your free testosterone test and consultation. Mention Miller Moulton Radio Show for 10% off your service. Find your maximum self with Game Day Men's Health, Bonita Springs and Naples, Florida. Call 239-427-3441 today.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
This is Miller and Moulton.
we never got to it with Seth, and I don't know how much he would have helped him. We've not brought it up in 2 days that it's been out, but we've still not discussed Jordan. NBC.
I know.
And then also, I don't know if you've seen it, but they came out yesterday with some promo shots of the new Madden movie they're making with Christian Bale as Al Davis and Nicolas Cage as John Madden.
Nicolas Cage is John Madden?
Yep.
That's funny. Just based on appearance, I'd flip the roles.
Just sent you a text. It's got the pictures.
See, I would have thought Nicolas Cage is Al Davis. Look at him.
Did you see the picture of him as Madden, though? He looks as a pretty good Madden when they got Davis.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there you go. Scroll down.
Yeah.
Could be out by Christmas. They're saying as a chance because they're filming now. By the end, yes. He wasn't, when he was a coach, he wasn't fat. If you know what I mean, CW.
So it looks like we're not going to get Forslund until the conference finals, and he might be done on TV, that he'll just do radio. He was supposed to do Game 6, Panthers, Leafs, but he's got a personal thing.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Hell of a show today, if we do say so ourselves. Ron Blum, who covers baseball for the Associated Press, joined us. Christopher Powers, who covers golf. Weekly visit from Seth Everett. Just had John Forslund, who we think is the best national play-by-play voice in the sport of hockey, talking a lot of Panthers, Leafs, but also some of the other series as well. You miss any part of Miller and Moulton, go to millerandmoulton.com. Mark posts every hour right after the hour ends. So the John Forslund interview, if you just missed it, well, you'll be able to hear it in about 45 minutes time.
Fired up. I did something last night. My mother has had a timeshare for many years, and she's taken us on a few vacations because there's locations all over the country where she can book rooms. And occasionally she's let me have a couple of nights. So I hit her up yesterday, talked to my son who lives in North Carolina, and he's a big Georgia Bulldog fan. I said, Mom, think we can use your timeshare Halloween weekend in Jacksonville? And she said, sure. So I booked my room last night for 2 days in Jacksonville.
Okay.
For the Georgia-Florida game, which I've been to once, but my son, who's a big dog fan, has never been to the game. And a friend of mine I just hit up, and I'm fired up because he texted me back. His parents live in the area, and he travels to the game every year by boat.
Oh, wow.
I am working very hard on hitching a ride to the game via boat.
That would be great. I have always been jealous, when they do the aerial shots, whether it's the Tennessee River pulling up a block from Neyland Stadium, or whether they show you pulling into Jacksonville and what have you. And it's like, wow, people actually go to the games that way. How cool is that?
And University of Washington might be the best of all of them with their tailgating scene.
And my understanding, while the schedule's not official, but my understanding is I didn't get to UW last year. We didn't go, but we're going to get to UW this year.
Very cool. Your job makes me jealous. It's a great job. I'm envious of what you do and the games you see, but you have now, with switching to the Big Ten, you're now starting to get a lot of pretty cool college football bucket list items checked off.
Yes. And last year there were places we didn't go, like didn't go to Lincoln Stadium, Memorial Stadium, I should say, in Lincoln for Nebraska. Haven't been to Madison in 30 years.
You've been to Madison, and that is one of the more underrated scenes on a Saturday in college football is Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes. A great college town. Fun game. Was lucky enough to go to a Minnesota-Wisconsin game, which I know you don't think is a big deal. They play for the Axe. Trust me, it's a big deal. It's fun, and it's spirited, and it was a lot of fun to be there. But, yeah. Okay, I think this year, I got to Iowa last year, so I got to see the wave with the kids at the hospital, and it truly brought a tear to my eye and gave me goosebumps. So, that was great to see. I think this year, Oregon, Washington, Lincoln, I'm not sure about Madison, but I think I'm going to check off a few, because when I was to Lincoln, they weren't playing football. I went to do a feature story on Darren Erstad, who was the Nebraska punter when Tom Osborne won his first national title, but he was also going to be the number one pick of the baseball draft, and that's why I was down there. So it was baseball season. Now, it was funny. I'm doing a stand-up inside Memorial Stadium because it's Nebraska. They let me in. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever you want. Okay, and as I'm doing the stand-up, the cameraman says to me, hey, hold on a second. There's a guy jogging in the background. I want him to leave your shot. And I turn around and I look, and it's Tom Osborne. And I go, no, man, we're doing this with Tom Osborne in the background. Are you kidding?
Speaking of legendary coaches, there is a movie being filmed right now on John Madden.
Okay.
And it is apparently going to go through Madden's journey from Super Bowl, as it says, from Super Bowl winning partnership with Al Davis and the Raiders to creating Madden NFL. So my guess is it's going to start around winning the Super Bowl and then go through his career. Okay. But I was stunned to see who was playing John Madden. It's Nicolas Cage. and Christian Bale is going to be Al Davis. I mean, that's heavy hitters in the movie world to do a biopic, if you will.
And I'm surprised that, like you told me, Cage is playing Madden, right?
Cage is playing Madden. And looking at the picture, it's at brobible.com. I just saw the post on X and clicked on. I think they did a hell of a job transforming Nicolas Cage into John Madden.
Which is interesting because I told you during the break, my first thought is Cage would play Al Davis.
Right.
So, okay. Especially since Cage is older, right? So,
Right.
you know, Davis obviously was older than Madden, although not much, but was older. So, I'm in, by the way. We missed, and, you know, we didn't miss it, but we haven't talked about it. So this week's the upfronts from the networks. They go to New York. They make their pitch. This is what we're going to have on in the fall. This is what we're doing. Keep this show in mind for the winter and spring. And they try to get hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising. Michael Jordan is going to work for NBC.
Right.
Wow. Now this
In a
is a
limited role. He's going
right.
to be doing like some features.
But at some point, he's going to be on a set before a game, right? And they're going to ask him about players and teams, right?
I would think. How could you not? It's Michael Jordan.
Right.
We do want his opinion.
It's someone we're going to listen to. I mean, damn. Does this mean Ahmad Rashad comes with him? I mean, you know. No?
That's good.
Do you remember they used to drive to the games together? And we were fine with it. The sideline reporter for NBC was driving in the passenger. Well, Michael was driving. Ahmad was in the passenger seat. They would come to the games in Chicago together. But it worked out great for NBC because when he, you know, the whole gambling thing in AC and he didn't want to talk, guess who he talked to? Pre-game, live. Talk to Ahmad.
I go down TikTok holes from time to time. And most of the things on my feed are music and then sports. But I've favorited a couple of Jordan clips. And so Jordan and Larry Bird clips keep coming at me.
Okay.
And the Bird ones are phenomenal. Of listening to other players tell stories about Bird. I could listen to that all day long. But there was one recently that I found when the Bulls were playing the Heat, regular season game. And Jordan on the bus back to the hotel said, drop me off here. I'm going to go have a couple of beers. Now, this is after the shoot around. The bus then picks him up on the way to the game at the bar that he never left.
And that's about 5 hours.
Correct. And I don't recall who the two players were telling the story, and they said he walked on, and it was obvious that Mike was drunk. Mike was feeling no pain. In fact, he said in warm-ups, I'm seeing 3 rims. I'm just going to shoot at the middle one. Michael proceeded to drop 30 on the Heat by halftime and then sat on the bench for the second half and told his team that if they can't beat Miami without him, they have no business winning a championship.
Barkley told the story recently in which they were in the Olympics and they all played 18 holes. Michael played 36. Okay, we figured he'd be dog tired. We're going to beat this team by 60. He comes into the room. He says, give me the point guard. He said something bad about me. Okay, and Barkley said Jordan went after that point guard like he was Isaiah Thomas.
For over 50 years, the Nolan family has been dedicated to protecting local families. Nolan Family Insurance is a second-generation independent agency that specializes in home, flood, auto, and boat insurance. They take the time needed to explain your coverage options and answer your questions so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. If you're looking for an agency that treats you like family, call 941-639-1122 or go to NolanAgency.com. That's 941-639-1122. or NolanAgency.com.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and one replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound. Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I saw another one with talking about the bad boys and Reggie and Isaiah were both on the panel, and Reggie was talking about Dumars being the nice guy on the team and guarding Reggie, and all right, I'll let you go by me, but you got to go in there. And just how they D'd up jump shooters. It's like, okay, go around me and go to the hole, because you got Mahorn, Lambier, and whomever else may be there to just kill you.
Joe Shad's poll question: what are you more excited about tonight? Dolphins schedule release or Game 5, Panthers Leafs? 225 votes. Panthers Leafs 57%. Yes, CBW. That's all we're going to do tomorrow on the show. Mark,
you better get to Fort Myers then.
It's got to be one of the top 5 things, probably top 3 things I could do to get Mark to just kill me. Mark, can we play the schedule game? And he looks at me like, golly, anything.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. I'm sure tomorrow we'll be talking about the NFL schedule being released and, who's got 3-game road trips, 3-game homestands, the number of primetime games, the whole deal. Stuff is going to be leaked out. It already has throughout the day today. There's a good chance that your favorite beat writer will have your favorite team's schedule in its entirety before 8 p.m. And it will appear on their X handle between 4 and 7 p.m. So if you don't want to wait, and if you're going to be too busy watching the Panthers and the Leafs, or the Knicks and the Celtics, there you go. I do just want to say, Mark, before you go do your thing, there have been 2 games that have been reported as official today. On Thanksgiving, the 4:30 game is going to be Chiefs at Cowboys. And week 1, it's been reported 4:25, week 1, Sunday on Fox, Lions at Packers for a season opener. Now, other things have been reported. There's a guy who's very tight with the Giants who says, I got their first 3 games. They open at Washington, at Dallas, and then Sunday night, their home opener against the Chiefs. Look at all the primetime games for the Chiefs that we know of already.
Putting the Giants on prime time? Are you kidding me?
Well,
I get it. It's New York. I get it, David. I get all the reasons. But that's worse than putting the Cowboys on prime time.
Well, no, they're not putting the Giants. They're putting Mahomes. This might be, I don't know how many times before the NBC can select the games they want in the first 9 or so weeks of the season. This might be the only time they get the Chiefs scheduled on Sunday Night Football, and then they pick and choose from there. But Mark, you're right. But also, remember what we've been saying. This is a must-win season for Dable. First off, the Giants, by most people's account, have the hardest schedule in the league this year. They open at Washington, at Dallas, and home for the Chiefs. What do you think they're going to be after 3 weeks?
They play so well in Dallas.
Exactly.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Today was a day when, brought to you by Game Day Men's Health with locations in Bonita Springs and Naples. Call them today. Mention Miller and Moulton. Get 10% off your service. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com or call today, 239-427-3441. That's 427-3441 for Game Day Men's Health. 1787 we start. Delegates gather in Philadelphia to draw up the Constitution. Kind of a biggie. 1804, Lewis and Clark set out from St. Louis to the Pacific, commissioned by Thomas Jefferson. Gale Borden patents his process for condensed milk today in 1853. The third Olympiad of the modern era and the first Olympic Games to be held in the U.S. opened in St. Louis today in 1904. I thought this was typical for the White Sox and wanted to include it. Today in 1906, the flagpole at the White Sox ballpark breaks during the pennant raising. Walter Johnson's scoreless streak of 56 innings ends today in 1913. 7 years later, Walter Johnson would win his 300th game in Detroit. Israel declared independence from British administration today in 1948. President Truman signed a bill establishing a rocket test range at Cape Canaveral today in 1949. Mantle hits number 500 today in 1967. Today in 72, Willie Mays' first game as a Met. His homer would beat the Giants, his former team, doing so at Shea Stadium. 1977, the Canadiens win back-to-back titles in a 4-game sweep over the Bruins. This was mainly just for me. She Blinded Me with Science by Thomas Dolby hit number 5 in the charts today in 1983. Final episode of Family Ties was today in 1989. 36 million people watched it.
Underrated show?
I think rated about right. That was a big hit for a long time.
It was big. It wasn't the Cosby Show, but it was big.
Steinbrenner was suspended by baseball's executive council today for suing other team owners. The finale, Seinfeld's final 2-part episode, was today in 1998. 76 million viewers. Also today in 98, Frank Sinatra dies at the age of 82. 2015, B.B. King dies at the age of 89. And in 2016, Beyonce's Lemonade, all 12 tracks on the album, debut on the Hot 100, breaking Taylor Swift's record for most songs on the chart at the same time by a female artist. Lots of birthdays, a couple of big ones. But Gump Worsley, hockey player Gump Worsley, Bobby Darin, Dick Hauser, Jack Bruce from the band Cream, Tony Siragusa, and Roy Halladay would have all celebrated birthdays today. George Lucas is 81. David Byrne from the Talking Heads is 73. Dennis Martinez is 70. Ian Asbury from The Cult is 63. Pooh Richardson, 59. Kate Blanchett, 56. Mark Zuckerberg, 41. And Rob Gronkowski is 36 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Well, it's kind of a flip of a coin whether or not I got this right. I think you've missed 2 things. First Olympics in America opened today in 1904.
In St. Louis?
Guess you had it. It was supposed to be in Chicago, but the World's Fair was in St. Louis, so they moved it, and apparently St. Louis did a horrible job. And Israel became Israel today in 48?
48, yeah.
You had that?
Had that one, too.
Good. So there you go. So I'm 0 for 2. Okay. Man, I really thought I was paying attention. I was writing things down and everything. Checking things off going, he mentioned that. He mentioned that. Damn.
You got one more? Or you done?
I was going to try Lewis and Clark, but I think you went there.
We had that one.
Yeah.
Always have Lewis and Clark.
I know. It's like William and Mary. You're big on Lewis and Clark.
They're both from Virginia. That's probably why Jefferson commissioned them. My daughter's doing a project on Lewis and Clark right now. Makes for good dinner table conversation.
Yeah, and quite frankly, how they managed going west at that time, 1800s, they didn't have any radar either. I mean, actually, if you think about it, it's remarkable.
They had a Sacagawea, though. That helped.
Is that like a Vasilevsky?
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I don't even know if I can do this segment after that. Is that like a Vasilevsky? Yes, as a matter of fact, it is.
Was that out of line too soon?
Not at all. It was in line. It was perfect.
Oh, okay. Good.
We go to Port Charlotte for the good, where a cat was stuck in some PCV pipe. And fortunately, Port Charlotte's fire department were able to free the kitten. Now they're working to find the kitten a home. For the bad, we go to Oklahoma City, where early morning commuters faced delays on I-40 when a cow escaped and managed to get into the eastbound lanes of the interstate just after 5 in the morning. The cow was not struck by any vehicles, but traffic backups caused quite the delay Tuesday morning. And finally, the ugly, we come back to Southwest Florida in Collier County, where two of Naples' finest were arrested yesterday. Jeremy Wolf, a 22-year-old, and Howard Wesley Green III. You must be doing your father and grandfather proud. He's 17. They were found in Naples. They were wanted on 3 active warrants, including shooting someone in the back. One was caught immediately, but Wolf ran away. They caught him after a brief standoff on the roof of an apartment building. Both arrested on the spot. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, Wednesday, May the 14th, here on Miller and Moulton.
Well, we have a full baseball schedule because it's Wednesday. Everybody's playing, but we've got 2 doubleheaders on top of it because the Twins, Orioles, and Cardinals, Phillies were rained out yesterday. So are we betting splits or are we betting sweeps? That's number one. The Twins, Orioles is a daytime thing. That's a noon 3:30 doubleheader. So I'm guessing they're not emptying the stadium. Okay.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think they'd be able to. That's a true double dip.
Right. Now the Phillies, meanwhile, they're going to empty the stadium. Cards, Phillies at 1, and then the nightcaps at 6:15. So they're going to get you out of there and get the new crowd in. But that's besides everybody that was playing yesterday. Twins take an 8-game winning streak in the double dip. Cardinals take a 9-game winning streak into the double dip. Cubs hosting the Marlins. Blue Jays hosting the Rays. So the Leafs are an underdog tonight. They're a betting underdog tonight. Does that surprise you at all?
No, they're playing the defending champs. I think Vegas is following the lead of the series in that Florida's played their 2 best games in the last 2. But I would have this more as a pick'em. If I were doing the odds, this would be much more of a pick'em to me.
The over-under's 5.5. The first 2 games of this series were more high scoring than that. Don't you think? I mean, if the Leafs are ever, if this group of Leafs is ever going to win a big game, doesn't it have to be tonight?
Is Austin Matthews going to score a goal tonight, David? Because if he is, then the Leafs win tonight.
Maybe on the power play, because I don't think he can shake Barkov. And I know Leafs get last change, and he'll play some shifts without him. And who knows? Maybe Maurice goes with the third line, puts Marchand on him. And by the way, how good is 37-year-old Brad Marchand? My goodness.
Is there anything better? And Marchand is the rat of all rats. He's a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong. He's not a good player. He's a great player. Not my favorite. But when the Florida Panther players, after the home wins and the fans throw the rats on the ice, Marchand stands by the gate where the players leave and they shoot the rats at him and he blocks them. It's every part of that is outstanding.
And he's been tremendous. It's gotten better as the playoffs have gone on, and he was good from game 1 against Tampa. He really was. So we got a hockey doubleheader tonight. Florida, Toronto, 7 o'clock ESPN, 9:30, which will be about 9:50. Edmonton at Vegas. Oilers trying to put Vegas out of their misery. Florida, Toronto's 2-2. Last year, conference finals, it was 2-2. Florida went into New York, beat the Rangers. We all know what happened. They've been
Who throws the first high elbow tonight for the Florida Panthers? Bennett.
Kachuk. I think, trying to think who's going to be on the ice when Domi's on the ice. But
well, he was yipping at Nylander and Nyes was nipping back at Kachuk. So just a little sidebar to watch if it gets ugly early.
NBA tonight, 2 games. Celtics, a 4.5-point home favorite as the Knicks try to eliminate them and move to the Eastern Finals for the first time in 25 years. And the T-Wolves can advance to the conference finals for a 3rd time, 2nd year in a row, as 11 11.5-point favorites against Golden State. And Steph has said, ain't going to be no Superman act here. I can't play. So would you take the 11.5?
Oh, boy. I don't know. I would take the Celtics and lay the 4.5, though. They're going to win tonight, and they're going to give the Knicks the chance to win it at home.
I thought you were going to say they're going to give the Knicks a chance to choke it at home. And Knicks at home last few years in the playoffs, this group, they've been okay.
And if Tatum were still there, I would be betting on the Celtics to win 3 straight. I really would. I think they get it done tonight because teams typically shoot better at home. They just do. They're more comfortable. I think the Celtics will shoot well enough from behind the arc to win the game and force a game 6, but I don't think they can do anything after that without Tatum.
Knicks a perfect 5-0 on the road in the playoffs, which is remarkable in and of itself because the Knicks the last 2 years could not win on the road in the playoffs, not when they got to the second round anyway. So there you have it. Big baseball day and night, and you got doubleheaders in the NHL and the NBA.
Edmonton trying to close out Vegas on the road. I don't think that they will, by the way. I think that'll go back to Edmonton as well.
Yeah, Skinner had his out-of-body experience in the series. I don't think it happens again. NFL schedule release officially at 8 o'clock. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
American Paints for nearly 30 years is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Wine glasses never fall over until you get a brand new rug.
Oh, no!
Ketchup bottles act normal till you're wearing a new shirt.
Oh, you kidding me?
And rocks slide peacefully on the road till the day you get a brand new windshield. Then they fly up off the road and attack without mercy. That's why new windshields from Glass Doctor come with our windshield protection plan. Unlimited repairs and 1 replacement for 12 months. Don't just fix it, protect it. Glass Doctor, a neighborly company.
With summer approaching, time to take care of your own house. So stop into the Floor Meisters and see their huge in-stock selection of carpet. The Floor Meisters has 100 rolls to choose from, starting at $2.99 a square foot for carpet, pad, and installation. Come in and ask for Dave and have him show you the Dream Weaver Select. Many styles and colors to choose from to fit everyone's taste. Floor Meisters, 6281 Naples Boulevard in Naples, right next to Costco, or go to the web, floormeisters.com.
Mark Miller for Molly Maid. I've been a customer for over a year and cannot say enough good things about their service and communication. If you're a business owner, you can trust Molly Maid to do an exceptional job. Their expert team delivers tailored cleaning for whatever your needs, ensuring a pristine environment for clients and staff. Visit mollymaid.com/FT-Myers or call 239-418-0052. Molly Maid makes my home shine, and it will make your home or business shine too.
We've got a text message for Dr. Dollar. A few of my friends are taking daily Cialis or Viagra. What are the benefits and how much does it cost?
Great question. Cialis, Tadalafil, and Viagra, Sildenafil are game changer for men who want better performance, stamina, and confidence. They improve blood flow, support long-lasting performance, and help you feel like yourself again. And the best part, at Revitalize Clinic, we make it affordable. Less than $1 per pill. No overpriced prescription, no hassle, just real results, American made at the best prices in town. Plus, with early hours starting at 5:30 in the morning, we fit your schedule.
Take control of your health today. Call Revitalize Clinic at 239-277-5770. Visit revitalizelounge.com or text Dr. Dollar directly at 239-980-2302. That's 239-980-2302. Get results. Get confidence. Revitalize Clinic, because every man deserves to perform at his best without breaking the bank. Text Dr. Dollar now at 239-980-2302.
This is Miller and Moulton